Greetings, weary traveler. Come, warm yourself by the fire, and let us regale you with mighty tales, tales of adventure, tales of heroism, and of course, tales of Tamriel. I am LotusOfDoom, your host for the evening, and things are going to be a little different. For anybody watching the video or the live show, we have a little bit of a different cast with us this evening. We'll start with Tom, or Robots, who you might recognize from another show that I have a little something to do with, the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. How you doing, Tom?
Hey, Lotus. I feel like we're doing our show, but not our show.
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like everything is the same, but also in this weird mirror image.
So two things real quick. One, our takeover of Tales of Tamriel is nearly complete.
Yep.
And two, is this the right place to bring my questions about my refrigerator?
Yes, and maybe. It depends whether it's a return question or a technical question.
How about both?
Okay. Return
I've been
questions?
waiting weeks to talk about refrigerators. I'm hoping that's all we talk about this episode.
Yeah, so the halls of refrigeration are only for technical repairs. We can't help you on returns.
Oh, okay. All right. Well.
And our other guest for the evening from the Elder Scrolls Online Stream Team, Twitch partner, and all-around last of his kind, Snow Khajiit, we have Matygon. Hey, Matty.
Hey, I was told Doc was going to be here. That's the only reason I'm here.
Yeah,
what happened?
So the problem is our takeover of the unofficial Elder Scrolls podcast, that happens the week after next.
Oh,
got your dates mixed up.
I was lied to. Okay, see ya.
Yeah. Welcome, buddy. How are you?
Well, good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's been too long. I was going to say.
I know, gosh, right?
We have been meaning to take over the unofficial Elder Scrolls podcast, friend of the show, and part of Robots Radio Network, because it's all this weird mega family at this point.
I know, it's a big conglomerate. It needs to be taken down. Yep. I tell you,
all those big corporations taking over everything.
Corporations taking over. That's right.
So we have kind of a different show. I mean, similar setup, but different cast. Arkaniir are just kind of MIA with other stuff. So definitely follow up with them. They've been streaming New World, and they'll be back soon enough. But in the meantime, for those of you who are much more still interested in the Elder Scrolls side of things, we figured we would keep the show going and bring on some people that we've been meaning to, in Tom's case, get back on the show, or in Maddie's case, get on the show. So tonight is that night, or at least night one for it.
Yay!
Yay! Mm-hmm. So we will start things off pretty straightforward. There was a new ESO Live that we had this week. Did either of you get to watch the ESO Live event that happened on Friday, yesterday?
Yes, I watched it with my eyeballs.
Ooh,
it was good.
Which is the best way to watch a product of any type.
I try to use those first.
I watched it with my ears, but I have Khajiit ears, so they were really good.
Okay. All right.
I can visualize it really well.
I appreciate that, because I was already trying to go to the next thing of like, wait, how else do we watch it?
No, that was exciting.
Yes.
I thought it was great.
So rather than do like a play-by-play recap, why don't we can kind of shoot out, well, we can deal with the event that's currently happening and all of that goodness afterwards. Is there anything that stuck out from ESO Live that you wanted to mention? I mean, there was the Trivium thing that they've been going into, which, for anybody who doesn't know, this long-standing, this was more than what I originally thought this was. This is like a pretty involved partnership between Trivium and ESO. I thought this was like a one-off gimmick, and it's like, nope, apparently they're just hanging around, doing cool stuff with it. So
yeah, and I guess the lead singer's like a huge fan, plays the game.
Yeah.
They might try to get him on like a Bethesda cast, or something, and
right.
A Bethesda Live thing or something. I'm just like, wow, yeah, this seemed more in depth than it's just like, hey, this is a giveaway of a guitar that looks real cool.
Exactly, which, to be fair, is exactly what I thought it was to start with. It's like, oh wait, no, this is actually like a real thing that somebody's just involved with. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was cool too. I'd be interested to hear the origin story of how all of that came about.
Yeah.
Because it seems like one of those things where somebody probably contacted somebody important. Somebody important contacted somebody important, was just like, oh, you're into this and you're into this. We should see if we can work something out. And then things kind of worked out. But I think during the live stream, watching chat, and we all know Twitch chat can be one of the most toxic of places.
Sure can.
It can be. It wasn't.
No.
There was a lot of like, man, this is sick.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these, like, wow, these guys are shredding it. Like a lot of these really positive comments about it. And I think that just goes to show that there's a lot of awareness on Zos's part of the community and, you know, the kinds of people who rally around Elder Scrolls Online and the kinds of music that they're actually into and that kind of stuff, which is really cool.
And
when the music videos came out, I mean, oh my gosh, the chat was just like on fire for it. They're just like, this is the coolest thing ever. This is what we want. Yeah, I think they really touch base, you know, with the base of people that and what they enjoy with that. I even liked it as well. So
the few comments that were things like, "Oh, this is so cringe," you know, like,
well, that's always a thing. If this isn't a music I like,
they were the majority by a distinctly large amount, which is interesting. It was really notable.
Well, the thing that's I find probably the most fascinating about this is Trivium is like a big enough mainstream like metal band that a lot of people kind of like gravitate towards. So having them actually kind of associated with Elder Scrolls Online, most people that's not necessarily like or at least not anything I would consider. That isn't necessarily just a straight up nerd crossover. So you're kind of drawing in something it's the same thing with like Robert Whittaker from UFC. It's hard to have that be too cringe when it's like, well, okay, most people, I'm not one of them because I actually joke that like as much as I love football and everything like that, like playing fantasy football, that's D&D for sports. Like, so that's it. Right. It is what it is. But like,
it is.
Wait. Is like playing flag football in your community LARPing then?
Oh man,
yes,
it is now.
It is hugely. You're pretending. You know, to be this,
especially if you're wearing like a jersey of your favorite team with somebody else's name on the back.
Oh, so I guess I have LARPed. No,
you have LARPed. That's right.
So, like, when you have crossovers from like extreme mainstream to something that's considered more nerdy, although nerd culture has kind of become mainstream in and of itself. I mean, look at the MCU. Nerds win. Exactly.
We've won. We've taken over the earth.
Right.
The
crossover there, I think, kind of meshes pretty well, where it's like, okay, this has got mainstream appeal outside of people who play video games. So it doesn't have the same, like, well, this is just in the wheelhouse already, and maybe it's not a shared interest of players. This is like, okay, this isn't even in the same wheelhouse. This is just a group that happens to sync up with this thing. So it's like, you would just have a shared interest from this band, which is a little different.
Lotus, we talk a lot. We talk every week on the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. And, you know, like I like to play with concepts and ideas. And I've been thinking a lot about authenticity and the appeal of authenticity. And I don't want to go off too far on a side tangent. You know what got me thinking about this?
I mean, this is kind of what we do.
Okay, you're right. We try to keep our show concise and on topic. I forgot. I'm on a completely different show.
Yeah, look, the rails, they're rarely seen.
I'm sitting back in my lazy boy. The feet are up. I'm ready for the long haul. Yeah, here,
all right.
I knew what we were getting.
We were judged for only having our shows before. So.
Okay, sit back, because here's where I'm going with this. Here's where I'm going. All right, so it is the 30th anniversary of the release of Nirvana's Nevermind.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I just aged immediately.
Like we all just got really old.
Just got really old. Thank you.
Yes, But I was explaining. This is going to make us all even feel older. I was explaining to my 10-year-old the significance of Nirvana and Kurt Cobain, and why Nirvana is one of a handful of bands that changed music forever. And the core of that was authenticity. The core is the authenticity of their music, the authenticity of them as performers. The distinction between the hair metal that came before And the grunge rock that came after was the authenticity of the performers and the way they wrote their music and what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would argue, was that for a while there, you went from these bands who were, like, yeah, we're going to become rock stars. We're going to get all the babes. We're going to make all the money. And they were doing it for that. And then all of a sudden, Nirvana came around and they didn't even want to be rock stars.
No.
They were just doing it because they wanted to play freaking badass music and rock out. And the world made them rock stars. They were just goofballs. And they didn't even want to be on camera or do interviews. But so my point being that authenticity is appealing. And when you take authenticity and you bring it into a product like Elder Scrolls Online, or the streaming of like a live event, or something like that they just did this last week, that's where it actually hits people, where people are really touched by that. People can tell when something is authentic. And I think that rings true even more so today than it did 30 years ago, because on the internet, everything is fake. Everything is fake.
Right.
Everything's super fake. So when you have a group of nerds going, we authentically love the Elder Scrolls. We authentically love this like rich, deep lore of this fantasy world, which is just ridiculous. And we love over the top metal music. Mm-hmm. And this is what really got it for me. And you have a situation where Rich probably was like, it'd be really cool is if we wrap up this whole thing and I open up this crate and this red light glows out and I pretend and I grab this sword and the authenticity of, well, you know what? Let's just nerd out on this for a minute and put it in the video, because we freaking love this stuff. Yeah. So let's just lean into it because we're a bunch of nerds who love this stuff, and that's authentic. And that touches people, because that's exactly what you and I would want to do if we were standing there in front of one of those badass looking swords. Right?
Oh my gosh. We would have grabbed the sword.
With it. I pick it up
with it, and then wonder how much does it cost for me to buy it.
Right. Exactly.
Or just, can I borrow this for a little while and maybe you won't notice it's gone. But to my point, like this is kind of the long roundabout thing, is it's just that the more they lean into this, the more, and the conversation went this way too. Gina is the more she does this, the more she's authentically getting into the role of just having these conversations. They're all more relaxed in front of the camera. Yeah. They're more just like talking about like, well, this is what's going on. They're answering the questions in this very relaxed, authentic way. And that resonates with people. People want that. And they're doing an awesome job with it. And I think that this presentation really moved another step in that direction. And I think that was the big achievement of this presentation to me.
You know what? Until you said that, I really didn't hit home as much as it should have, of that no matter what they said in the presentation, how they delivered the presentation was their easiest. I mean, not by the ease of which it was presented, the comfortability, like you say, keeping that real, knowing the audience, and that the delivery of it was just so authentic. Like you said, it's like, hey, here's this. We know our audience. We've been doing this for years. We've got this under our belt and everything. And this is all the stuff that, we think is really cool. We think you're going to think it's cool too.
Right. And to connect with that, you've got Rich, who heads up, so much that goes on with the game.
Right.
And he's been streaming so much.
Yes.
And people are tuning into that. But what they're seeing, and I think this was genius of him, is they're seeing somebody who loves the game as much or more than so many of the fans who are tuning into his stream. Right. Because the dude spends, who knows, 9, 10, 12 hours a day at work working on this thing, and then he gets home in the evening and he's happy to jump back in, talk more about it, and run through more dungeons again.
He grinds on it. He's got the VMA runs that he does and stuff, and he gets upset at it, like we all do when we try to do all that stuff. I mean, this isn't somebody who does this for a job and then wants to go home and needs to do something else in order to refresh. This is a guy who legitimately, authentically loves this world, and he loves the game that he works on, and he does it, and that comes from the top. When the people at the top are doing that, the people underneath are seeing that. They're going to mirror it. They're going to realize that that's okay, that you're allowed to do that. You almost forget his position at that point.
Right.
Because you're just like, you see him, doing this and doing writs and doing stuff and chit-chatting with everybody and the dog's going by behind him or whatever. And then you're just like, oh, there he is headlining this huge thing for this epic game. And he's it's the keeper of all the knowledge that he can't tell us about forever,
Exactly.
And you're like, yeah, it's the down to earth, the everything like that, the authenticity of the whole group over there. And it comes from the top. You're right.
Yeah. Nope, definitely. And it's funny because like one of the things that I do find funny, specifically, I'm pretty sure we've mentioned it before, but Rich actually got partnered on Twitch, which is very impressive to hit those requirements, especially as quickly as he did. And he's he's entertaining to watch. And then obviously you've got people who like to just bring up ESO stuff, but some people just like to, he's entertaining outside of that regardless as well. But the real thing about it, which I find so interesting, is he is the perfect example, because I always joke that I have essentially no schedule outside the two podcasts. Like I stream whenever I manage to pull it off, which recently with football and some bit of copyright issue that I was dealing with some of the older games being streamed. Rich streams literally like 10 times more than I do. And it's like you work on the game and then you stream way the hell more than I do. It's like, wow. Like, ouch.
Goals.
You gotta love it.
Exactly.
You gotta love it at that point. That's you gotta love it. And like you said, he does such a great job entertaining and everything. If he wasn't, people wouldn't go. It doesn't really matter his position.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can only grill him for so much information if you're also not interested in sitting
and
in
entertainment.
Yeah, and entertainment. Yeah, come on, entertain us. Dance through VMA for that 600K. So no, I feel like that was actually that's a really good way of explaining why that kind of hits and has been hitting. I guess from my perspective, because I've never really been into MMOs, and most of the other gaming communities that I've ever been part of are not friendly like the ESO fan. This is a very different environment than the competitive background that I came from, where everybody hates each other all the time. The interesting thing about it is really the fact that all of the devs actually, and it's to your point, they seem to enjoy this almost as much as we do. And it's not just the game, but like Wayne, now he's actually, he originally was the ZOS IT technical director, I believe, which I just used technical after IT. Whatever. We're going to bulldoze past
it's a common thing.
Yes, the ATM machine. Yeah, ATM machine, I will say it forever.
Yep, like a PIN number. But that aside, promoted to now he works at Bethesda proper, as opposed, so he's like got the promote. But one of the times I was talking to him, he had mentioned that there's actually a bit of like competition to try to get to go to these events. It like, ESO Vegas. It's like, well, we can't just send literally everybody to ESO Vegas.
Right. Somebody has to stay back and actually do work.
Right. PAX East. Right. It's like, okay.
Not that going to those events isn't work. Those are very long hours.
Right. Absolutely.
But getting to get out of the office and do something different as work can be appealing compared to staying at the office and continuing doing what you normally do as work.
Right.
So yeah,
which is
absolutely.
Which is just funny because like when you think work trips, oftentimes it's just like, oh my God, it's like I got to go travel here or whatever. And it's funny to think from their perspective. It's like, oh man, I totally want to travel to do this because we get to meet the people and do the event. And I'm like, that's really like, it's uplifting. And again, just from like I don't know, at least from the perspective that I've ever been given by anybody I've had the pleasure to talk to from Bethesda or ZeniMax Online Studios themselves, with all of the negative press that kind of hits gaming between Blizzard and Activision and, Riot, and just those are just headliners. There's plenty of bad things that have happened. Not that everybody at those companies is bad by any means, or because unfortunately a lot of people get caught in the crossfire at being at companies that have these real high profile bad things that come up. One of the things, at least from my experience, which is interesting in an industry with so much turnover, there's very little turnover at Bethesda. Like, people that are there, I'm always so entertained when it's like, oh, I just got my 15-year thing, and they post like this glass engraved like Ouroboros thing, and I'm like, wow, that's like from the. I mean, I haven't worked much in video games. I just did QA for a little while and hated it. It's amazing because so often you finish a project and you're just, okay, that's it. We'll just hire a new team.
Yeah, you're expendable.
Right. And it really doesn't feel that way with these. So I guess that also might lean into, like, if you enjoy what you do, why would you not want to keep doing it? And that's definitely kind of the vibe for the most part that I get from these, which, all games have their problems, but it's like they're not oblivious when something is wrong, and you can tell they don't even like avoid on stream doing their own dungeons if a dungeon has like a problem with it. They'll do it. They're not pleased with it. Like, I've seen Rich die to goofy crap on stream in a VMA and be annoyed with it because it's like, damn it, my thing didn't go off. And it's like, they're aware. It's like, yes, it's frustrating. Yeah. As long as it's not constant, I'm fine with it because everything has its like grace period type of thing. But yeah, it's very interesting. It's a very unique atmosphere around this game / series, so to speak, because 76 kind of has a similar vibe to it from my experience there. Not quite as tight knit, at least from what I've experienced, but it's definitely similar vibe. So
I've talked with some of the developers. I've had a chance to interview a few of them over the last few years, and there's very similar. I mean, they're both Bethesda run projects.
They're sister studios, exactly.
Sister studios. There's a lot of similarity in those, and you can tell the people who work on those games, they love the franchise. Yeah, they love the fan base. And 76 of course got a lot of grief early on, but it's
sounds like ESO year one.
It does, and it took ESO a good 3 years before things really started to shift, and now we're in this like beautiful world of years later where we can look back and go, well, it took a little while, but look what we have now.
Right. All right, now for something completely different. Gonna jump into the first thing because I actually am curious if either of you have played anything of it, because I'm pretty sure, well, I know for a fact with you, Tom, that you generally prefer the lore and story content to the games as opposed to some of the more sadomasochistic
I enjoy doing some dungeons with people, but I don't generally challenge myself on the hardest content in the game.
So how much do you dabble in PvP? Oh my god, did it crash? I hate you.
Every so often.
There we go.
Usually like the mid. It's usually like mid-year mayhem will bring me back. Sometimes I'll get like back into the battlegrounds.
Okay.
And I'll run some of those. Sometimes I'll usually solo PvP. For the most part, I'll end up playing around with different character builds. And if I'm deep in like Storyland and I'm like really just grinding through some new content and I don't feel like messing with builds, then I tend to stay away from PvP, especially when there's like bonuses to do PvP. But if I'm looking for extra stuff to do and there's some big rewards and things and I'm not really worried about that, then I'll jump back in. But with the new updates and being able to just like, boom, change your build at like a drop of a dime, then
it's going to be a lot easier to jump in and out.
Oh my God. I can just hit a button and just go, okay, I'll go do some PvP.
As somebody who largely just plays one player, like one character, I've got a couple stray ones, but the only one I really seriously play is my main character. Needing to tediously switch between all that stuff, like I cannot say how happy I am for the armory enough because the reason I stopped working toward my trifecta in Vatashram Hollows is literally because I was too fucking lazy to go through and re-gear myself and remorph all my skills. I'm like, I'm not going to do this. Like, I'm not, I'm not going to happen. Like, I would like to modify stuff. I just don't know. Now, boom, dropping it. All for it. So
yeah, as much as I like to tinker around with alternate characters, and I've tried out each of the classes.
Yep.
I've tried out, magicka versions and stamina versions, and I've tried out different builds and things like that. I always go back to my Nightblade. That's my main. And there's something about the, just I don't know, the combo of dual wield and a bow, and it works for me for both PvP and it works for me for PvE. And yeah, being able to just switch on a dime between, okay, this is the gear I'm going to use for PvP, and these are the abilities, and this is the gear I'm going to use for PvE, and these are the abilities, would just makes everything so much better.
Totally hear that.
I'm actually the non-armory. I don't want to say I'm not looking forward to it, because I will use it, but over the years I've tried to find a build that works in both worlds because I'm lazy. And so the
defining factor.
The defining factor, and I love to see how far I can go without doing anything. Like, I've got this I call it a dad build, because you can put it together pretty easy. It's pretty lazy, but it's really effective. So like a dad build is like defined by like, is it good in overall content? Is it easy to put together, and is it fun?
Yes.
And so I'm running Winter's Respite, which is Overland. I'm running Frostbite, which is Overland, and a couple of staffs from like normal Maelstrom and normal DSA.
Okay.
Yep. And so we throw that on there, and I go into PvP, and I have taken out people.
Yeah.
And I just go through it and everything. And we do joke about that. My favorite thing in PvP is to repair the walls, because you do that and you get the quickest tier 1 you're ever going to see.
Especially if it happens to trigger a defense at the same time.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, you just do that. You're like, oh, I'm done. I got tier 1. I'm going to get 50 transmute crystals at the end of the month. Cool.
Yep.
And so, but I've gone in, I've taken on Zergs, I've done it, people have tried to gank me and I've been fine. And, and I go in there with, like, even if I had the ultimate, because I do a Mag Blade 2 as well, even if I have the ultimate version of the build for PvP, 3 against 1 is 3 against 1.
Yep.
It's not going to matter to me. So as long as I'm having fun and going through, I'm going to die a bunch. Hey, I got a whole bunch of those stones, teleport stuff. I'll find something, and then I see how far I can go. And usually I surprise myself. So I think I'm at that point with my builds and stuff that I don't go through that process. Like I said, I'm really going to like the armory. I was joking with the armory stuff. I'm going to like having that switchability. But for me with PvP, it hasn't gotten to that. I don't use it as at that level in there that I'm like, PvP isn't something that I do every day, all day long. It's maybe, between, 8 to 10% of what I do overall. And it's just, I don't feel the need. I don't think it's going to benefit me so much that I switch out everything, that I'm like, I'm going to be a 1vxer now because I switched to Ice Heart instead of like doing something else. And I'm
sure.
Like,
Maddie, do dad builds? I mean, it sounds like they're still muscly underneath, but on the outside they might look just a little bit flabby.
They do have T-shirts that like exclaim their bad bodiness. Yes, they do.
Right. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, so, when push comes to shove, they're still pretty strong, but
they're still pretty strong.
But on first glance, they might look like they're not quite up to snuff. I gotcha. Okay.
What's so funny is like you talk about with the joking of it, but I've actually taken this dad build into veteran Rock Grove and to a lot of veteran trial content. And Finn, who's part of our streamer trials group, actually Lotus had just joined us this past week, and I told him that I was able to parse 68K with it and survive all this stuff. He's like, "You got to stop calling it a dad build." I'm just like, "Why?" He's like, a 68K parse is not a dad build. I'm like, "Oh, but it's so easy to get."
Yeah. So All right, good. So this is actually perfect then, because that's kind of what I was hoping for. We delayed on talking about this from the show prior because it was going into testing, and now it's live into testing. So I wanted just a couple opinions from whoever was with me, because I have mine, but currently testing for Battlegrounds, which, to anybody who might not know, probably the most contentious part of this game is the PvP.
What? Wait a minute. What?
Shocking, I know. Shocking, I know.
Tell you, you're a biased person. I tell you.
So people either hate PvP, don't want there to be PvP, or seem to think they liked PvP at one point, but I'm actually unsure as to when that was, because I actually don't. Even when PvP was more popular, people seem to yell about it a lot. And this is coming from somebody who really likes portions of PvP. But one of the most recent things that they've adjusted to during a test, it's not permanent, but it's a thing, is Battlegrounds has switched. There have been a lot of changes to Battlegrounds. Some good, some bad, some not really even sure what the hell's going on. The most recent one, after I forget when it was officially announced, but basically the idea is all Battlegrounds, whether you solo queue or group queue now, are team deathmatch. There are no more objectives. There's problems with that, and there's things that people like about that. The reason that this testing is taking place, that was officially stated, was because people generally treat every game mode like team deathmatch, which I can confirm. Everyone treats every mode like team deathmatch.
I should go stand on that flag. There's a bad guy there. Go fight him instead. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And shout out to any of my buddies who join me in things, because as everybody knows, I'm a giant achievement whore. So a lot of what I do in Battlegrounds is trying to scoop up the different achievements, which, for better or worse, and I'll get your opinions on what you think about this with the changes. But to me, the big holdup to why I don't like this, because I'll make this very clear, I do not like this test. I mean, it's a test, so they can test whatever the hell they want. But I kind of hope it doesn't even last that long, because this is actually incredibly annoying to me, and I will... After trying a couple Battlegrounds, just to literally say I tried them, I will not be playing any more Battlegrounds until they change this back. I cannot physically get any of the achievements from any game modes that I have not done. Granted, I have like 5 achievements left in all of Battlegrounds to get. They're all objective-based. I can't get anything out of Team Deathmatch anymore. Like, it's whatever. The problem with this, obviously, is I can't complete these things. But it's not permanent. If it becomes permanent, I assume that they will find something as an alternative. But I don't main a DPS either. I usually am a tank or some type of weird tank hybrid. Team Deathmatch really kind of favors tanky DPS at minimum and DPS at the majority of people, where it's just like, all the damage, it doesn't matter if I live. Like, but if you can be tanky and do a lot of damage, you're just, super good. That's not my style at all. Like, I'm built for objectives. And this really downplays a lot of other play styles without being kind of like your own ball group where you need a full roster of people, because playing a healer with randoms, they're just going to run all over the place and not get any healing anyway. You're not going to be able to help these people. It's not going to happen.
You end up just chasing everybody. Yes.
Correct.
And they all split up, and you heal one guy, he dies, and then you get murdered. Yeah.
Right. At least if you have an objective, you can kind of help with that. Whatever. The people I play with these modes, and the thing is, like, yes, people do just really murder each other. The one benefit of playing game modes where everybody just murders each other, including the 3 people on my team just being like, I'm going to kill the enemy. And it's like, great. While everybody's in this clusterfuck in the middle, just stabbing each other and blowing each other up with meteors, I can get 5 relic captures in like 5 minutes and win the game. So like, I can't even utilize that to my advantage. Now I can basically use my old, this weird tank build that I have that I haven't tried in a while. So it might be nerfed with the new CP, or well, actually, there's no CP in Battlegrounds, so it wouldn't matter. Where I would just go in and I would basically just be a really frustrating distraction, and people that like big numbers, when they realize they can't kill you, they don't move on. They get aggravated and try harder. So if you can get a lot of people that are unable to kill you just wailing on you, it's really great if your team can swoop in and kill them. That's great, but a lot of people aren't going to do that in team deathmatch because it's literally chaos. So from my perspective, I just don't like the fact that it's basically funneled everybody into kind of like 1 at most 2 play styles, with a real emphasis on just like, well, if people aren't going to play the objectives anyways, I guess we'll just make it so that it's only 1 mode, which maybe only the team deathmatch fans will remain, so it will give them a more competitive environment. But
I kind of developed a theory about it just today. I don't want to interrupt your flow of
No, that's kind of really all I had, was just like, this is not a thing that I'm a fan of. If it's, if it does something great on the back end that I have no concept of, awesome. But at surface value, this is something it's like, not only do I not like this, I'm probably not even going to play Battlegrounds anymore because of this.
I wonder about the stats, because any company like this can see tons of stats. And they're making these decisions based on the analytics. And so the question then is, what is the percentage of people who play Battlegrounds? What are the percentage of people who prefer to play Deathmatch as opposed to other modes? And of the percentage of people who play the other modes, what are the percentage that actually play the objective compared to not play the objective? Like,
right.
And is there a distinct difference between the percentage of the team that gets the most kills versus the team that gets the most, that actually wins the objective?
Sure.
Like that kind of stuff. So I have to wonder if that's part of what is leading into the decision to make this route, go this route and try this out. Wow, that just rhymes.
That was very
And
poetic.
I think there's something bigger overall. And we were talking in my chat today about it, and I hadn't thought about it. I don't think this is what we think it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it's and you guys can, I was just theorizing this, today. It's that they need to gather, and this is my own thing, I don't know anything about this, but we think that they're trying to gather up some stats, some things that they can only gather up if you're only just doing deathmatch. If you're doing something with objectives, then not everybody is doing everything at the same time. It could be a performance issue.
They're testing builds or something.
Yeah,
they're trying to.
Yeah. So it's not. I don't think this is a testing to see. Oh, this is the one that's most popular. Now we're not going to do the other 2, which makes us. I think your valid concern, Lotus, is because it was mine too. Because I like doing the other ones. I don't like doing deathmatch as much and stuff. So I think there's something that as a performance issue or something that they're trying to figure out, that we can only do this if we have everybody doing deathmatch.
Yeah, we need everybody killing each other.
Yeah, we need everybody killing each other. We need all that information. What can we then do to help deathmatch, to either run smoother or whatever? Because if it is the most popular, of that. And maybe that the other game modes they've seen, it runs fine. Well, it's because we're not pushing it to its limit. That. So we're just doing that. At least I hope it's that. Maybe that's a hope and a dream, within that.
Are you trying to tell me you don't know everything because you're part of the stream team? They haven't spilled the next 9 years of content to you?
That's right.
Amazing.
I don't know anything. I've been asking since I got on. Okay, when's Bards? Nobody tells me anything. When's Bards?
I think that's an interesting idea, Maddie. I have to wonder what information they're getting out that they couldn't just get by looking at the data. If they're already getting deathmatch data, isolating the deathmatch data they're getting. What are they getting by just forcing more deathmatch data
Yeah, see, I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if anything, they're just getting more data more quickly.
Right.
So,
maybe that's is it the quickness of it that does it? I mean, even when they were doing the Cyrodiil with the procs sets and everything like that, it's like, oh my gosh, you could be going this way. We did find out later that they were testing to be able to do this other stuff.
Right. Yes.
Right.
So we complain, a lot about that. Lotus more than others. But
don't get between me and my achievements.
don't get me. That's what I'm saying. Lotus has achievements to fulfill.
I know. I need to hold that stupid chaos ball for like 9 seconds to finish that achievement.
Are you serious?
Yes.
No wonder it's
9 seconds and you still haven't finished it.
Oh, no wonder it's eating away at you.
I was looking through them, and it's like I got all my flag, like my relic return, like my relic captures, but I need like a few more relic returns. Like I have to kill the relic runner, and it's like that's fine, that's whatever. I've got a couple individual game ones, and then I was looking at it like, I think it's called Chaos Guardian or something like that, where you basically have to take 1 million points of damage or 100 million points of damage from the Chaos Ball or whatever. And I have like basically all 9s except for the last like digit. And I'm like, oh my God.
You're like 0.01% of the way
and
there.
I was like
except for the one bullshit.
I hadn't been intentionally working on it, so I was like, and now it's not God damn it.
And then when you realized it was like the night before, and you're just like, I'll do it tomorrow.
Well, the other thing, which is, again, we'll get into RNG because I actually have a good RNG tale for a change. But I am not quiet about how much I dislike the concept of RNG. And everybody's like, oh man, I never get deathmatch. I get all these other game modes. And I'm like, all I get is deathmatch. I remember one of the times when I was trying to get my last relic capture, I had 99 returns, like 99 captures. I was like, I need one more relic capture. And it took me 3 days of playing before I got a single capture of the relic game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? Why is this happening to me? So I'm sure that if I had been like, oh, I just need one Chaos Ball game, I would never see Chaos Ball again. So
they listen to the show and then they just
it's true. They're like, he really hates RNG, so we're gonna just put all of it on him.
Right. They just flag your account. Okay, no Chaos Ball. This account.
Right.
There you go.
Rich has two buttons on his desk. Everybody else and Lotus.
Yeah.
And it's just denied.
Yes.
Denied,
Lotus
denied.
achievement block.
No. He gets a little. It's not even automated. He gets a little audible alarm that goes off on his phone every time you queue, and he's got a button that says "Let him queue for it," and he goes, "No."
I think you really want deathmatch.
No, he doesn't get it. Should he get it this time? Nope.
So that's interesting though, with like the potential of them looking for something else. Which
I have to wonder what that actually.
What that could be.
I don't know. Yeah.
Or like you said, just a faster test of it. It's like, okay, we can get all this information.
Yeah.
But if we did it now and we just do that, everyone's going to be upset, but we're going to do it for a month, and then we're just going to find all this information and we'll be good to go. You know?
I mean, there are numbers where something becomes statistically verifiable once you hit a certain threshold of numbers.
Right.
So it may even just have something to do with like how balanced are the classes against each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you would think, even after months and months and months of data, even if you just isolated deathmatch data, they would have that data. It can't be something that simple. Maybe it's based around specifically new gear that was released recently, or something a little bit more specific. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's that thing. Let's see. You know what? In terms of other hot button issues, we'll go through all the fun stuff. We are currently in the Blackwood Event, which we should probably actually discuss the Blackwood Event, because I realized that we did not have a show when this kicked off. So, would either of you like to kick off what the idea is to this? It's not super complicated or anything like that, but just so people know, there is a Blackwood event going. What are the dates exactly on this? But yeah, anybody feel like just giving a quick synopsis on what we're doing here?
It's like, and Maddie, correct me if I'm wrong. It's like, get some friends.
Yep.
Go do some dailies in Blackwood. Profit.
Yeah,
there you go.
That sounds actually pretty accurate.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
And one of the biggest parts of it is you can get through the tickets through this event. You can get furniture items.
Sure can.
The people who are Housing Mancer furniture people are losing their beep over this.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right. They really they're just like, finally something that incorporates something that I can use my tickets on, for this and everything. So it's really bringing in, and they had the release of the new Cascades house.
Yes.
That
I saw that.
That's fantastic because it's on the border between that and Northern Elsewhere, which is my favorite zone. And
wait. You like something that's near Elsewhere?
I know. Crazy. You'd think it's vampires or werewolves, but it's all about the Khajiit.
Weird.
Oh, you like Khajiit stuff? What?
Right?
Now that's a misdirection.
That's a misdirection. I've been bamboozled.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a pretty simple, event, but just kind of a celebration of the zone.
Yeah, Blackwood Leowin this year so far.
And
the community event side to it, which we'll get into in a minute. They've done this a couple different times where they do the community. Here's a community challenge. Hit said community challenge as a group because speaking of what they can see behind the scenes, they scan for what you do. And if you meet these benchmarks, you get a whole bunch of stuff. And in previous years, we had the Summerfall, and then there was the Elsewhere one.
The Antiquities one.
Oh, yes, the Antiquities one. I was like, what did we do with last year? That's right, it was the Antiquity digging.
Oh, I did so much digging.
Yeah,
my God.
I love Antiquities still, so I really enjoy those.
Wait, is that another cat joke?
Don't start littering this stuff around here.
And that's the end of the show.
I'm just scratching the surface.
Ouch!
Oh boy!
Meow.
Oh boy! We went from dad mods to
joke.
Dad jokes. Good Lord!
They're coming fast and furious. Where's my record scratch command? Where's that?
Oh man, the hair just stood up on the back of my. Oh no!
Oh.
Well, for anybody who's remaining, I guess
we're just weeding out the weak. That's all we are. That's what it is.
It's a strength test.
That's right.
I lost my entire train of thought on that. I have no idea what just happened.
Around.
Oh, ouch!
Move on, Lotus.
Oh God. Oh right, the progress bars.
Bars.
Oh God. And you know what? We're actually just gonna go all the way on this. Azure, one of my mods from chat. How come there aren't any Khajiit in Auradon? Because they're elsewhere. So there we go. We're just gonna.
Yep.
We're just gonna. Yep. And so yeah, this event involves getting the striking locales, I believe is the term that they use for them. Is that what it is? Where there are
little eyes.
Yes, you're looking for the little eyeballs on the map. Are there 6 in Blackwood? Is that what it is? I don't know.
Gosh, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. I think there's like 5 or 6 to be fair. Get them all. It's in that handy dandy achievement tracker that you have that all of you should pay a lot of attention to, and or the zone guide. But you want to tag these striking locales. You can tag them on multiple characters. You can do them on multiple servers. People get really into this thing. I've actually, I even did it on my PC account since I've been playing over there. So I've got it on PC, I've got it on my main character, and I did it on Guaranir because Ark isn't around at the moment, and he can't stop me from doing Guaranir stuff.
And you've got people running into like chats like it's the kid from like the last Matrix movie, the war is over kind of thing. You're just like, we're at 34%. Everybody here, we're at 34% today. Let's go.
All right. And yeah, so it also apparently it is 6. My shot in the dark guess was apparently correct, so sweet. But yes, definitely contribute your part to this. You do need the Blackwood chapter in order to do this, because obviously you can't go to Blackwood and get the Pathfinder if you don't own Blackwood. It is what it is.
Do we want to do some product selling about the percentage off?
Yeah, actually, if you would like to do that, that would probably be most beneficial, because
right now on the store, it is 60% off if you're starting from scratch. If you're going, you get the base game and you get the Blackwood chapter, you'll get everything in between in there, and it's 60% off. So it's a great time to go and get it right now.
Yeah.
This is the time of year where this stuff always goes on sale. So this is the right time to pick it up if you have not jumped in yet.
And do it, because a lot of people say, "Oh, I'll wait till like the end, and then we have people coming in a couple of weeks after and just
go get it now. Yeah, go get it now.
Yeah.
This is the I believe this amount of discount is as much as it gets discounted.
Yep.
Regularly, like there's only a few times a year where it hits this amount of discount, and this is one of the times. So don't hold back. If you have the money and you want to go get it now. Don't make yourself wait. Just go get it.
Yeah, it's all the celebration for Q4. So it's all that they're hitting it hard.
Exactly. So that's and I've actually known people who, again, I guess upselling the thing that I don't make money off of, but
right. It's like we work there, but we don't.
Yeah,
it's like we don't get paid anything for this.
Well, it's like anything. It's like when we talk about ESO Plus, we just know what a good deal it is.
I don't even have ESO Plus, and I tell people that it's a good deal because it is a good deal.
You don't even have it.
I know. I'm just a stubborn asshole. But
you're the one guy who's going to benefit the most out of everybody doing the Blackwood event.
Correct, which we will get into, which is why we're going to be in a rare situation where I am going to white knight the shit out of Zoss for this reward. And usually I'm like, I can see both sides. Yeah, I can see both sides, but I selfishly am all about this life.
Do we want to just cover this right now?
Yeah.
I think this is the big thing about this.
Like filling up the event to 100% gets you rewards along the way. The first reward is, I know the second one's a skin of some type, correct? Or body markings. I can never tell the difference between one or the other.
First is the netch. You get a little pet.
Yes, you get
like
a pet.
Translucent or something.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything that looks like a floaty ghost thing.
Yep.
A-okay in my book.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the pet, then you get the body marking, then the finale. It's the last one's the finale. There's 3 tiers, correct? That's how it's done. Yeah. Okay, it is. Yeah. Okay, here it is. Yeah, 3 tiers.
33% each. Yeah.
Yes. So the final tier is you get the upcoming DLC fourth quarter expansion of the Deadlands for free, which for people like me just saved me like $20 or however much the gold transfer is. If you gift it, it's like 200,000 gold or something like that. Whatever. Just saved me a lot of money, either digitally or real, which I am all about, because then I don't have to spend money on things, which I like. I am a fan of that.
Yeah. You're a fan of free.
I am a fan of free.
Keep that in mind.
Yes. That is going to be
free. I'm just going to put that out there. As an old school gamer who used to have to pay for everything, no matter what it was, concept of free. I'm going to back away.
Yep. No. And you're not wrong. So it is totally free, and I am very happy about it, because that is, well, provided we get it. It will be extra insulting, and I will blame all of you if we don't get it, and I have to pay for this.
The vengeance of Lotus.
Yeah, I will personally blame each of you. I'll just come from chat to chat and just blame you.
I think I hear the rebellious streak in myself. Okay, I stop now? Is that?
I see, Maddie.
Oh, no. You're going to punish everyone just to punish Lotus?
Well, he owes me a lobster roll. And
that is valid. I do owe you a lobster roll and steamers next PAX East. So
that's right.
So that is a really cool free gift.
Yeah.
Provided you don't already have ESO Plus, which is basically it's included in your subscription. Part of ESO Plus, as what we had just mentioned, you get the craft bag, which is the selling point for most people. But The other thing you get from having ESO Plus is access to all of the DLC. You get everything shy of the most current year chapter, which when the next chapter releases, it will actually roll that chapter from the previous year into ESO Plus. So the value goes up as the game continues to carry on. That is also great, but you're paying your subscription each month. For that, you're also allotted your crowns. When I'm short on crowns, if I need crowns for something, these are the times I do sub. I would sub for the crowns that they give you to then buy the DLC for when I'm not subbed. Mm-hmm. That's how I would always do things. Now that there's gifting, if I have gold available, I buy it with gold from somebody who would rather have gold than crowns. Love that system. Very glad they put it in. However, this essentially is a gift. Well, the 100% reward is a gift that will only be seen by people who are not subbed to ESO Plus, which is a little peculiar to say the least. Thoughts?
Yeah. So the biggest disconnect here is that the majority of the people who are going to be doing the most of the work to get the reward are going to be people subbed to ESO Plus. So the majority of the workforce is not going to gain the benefit of the reward. At least that's my assumption. Because here's my let me explain my assumption a little bit more.
You go first. I'll let you do your thing.
My assumption is that people who sub to ESO Plus, even if they aren't the majority of the player base, are the most active of the player base.
I would agree with that because even in my Trials and Dungeons teams, people think I'm a freak that I somehow don't have ESO Plus. Like, I am the only one in like almost every trial team or guild that I'm in.
So they'll mention there's like 19 million people who have played this game, right? Yes. And I would guess that of those 19 million people, there's probably not a majority of those people who sub ESO Plus. Let's say there's only 10% of that, which would still be like almost 2 million people, right, which would be huge, and that's still probably too high of a number. But let's say of those 10%, I bet that 10% is super active in knocking out their dailies in something like Blackwood, right? Whereas the non-subbed demographic is probably a lot more lax about that because they're not actively paying.
You're less
for
invested.
A sub for a game. They're less invested. So my assumption would be that that's how it would play out. Now, what the data actually shows, we don't know because we don't work there. So that's my guess. And so if the people who are working for it the hardest are not the ones who actually get the reward, I could see why people might be upset with that. What do you think? What do you think, Matt?
Okay. Free. Part of this is that you're also getting a free pet and a free tattoo, and now I know it's the thing at the end.
Right.
But I also remember back in my day, when they discounted the Thieves Guild and the Dark Brotherhood by a lot, and it was like 400. It was 400 crowns each, which is a big drop. So for a total of 800 crowns, you got both of the DLCs. And I was thankful because I didn't sub every month. I played the game kind of like as a single player the first few years.
Oh, yeah.
I played by myself. A lot of us kind of did.
Same here. I was like, what's a tank? And
so I was like, wow, this is an incredible deal because I can get these two because I always want those on my characters. I want to be able to have the Blade of Woe. I want to be able to, do the thieves stuff and make money that way. Sure. And so they discounted it. Probably, I don't even remember, but it probably was in the lead up to Q4. It was in Q4. And I was able to have that. And I was so glad that they discounted it for me. All right. Since then, I always, I do the subscription because I see the value of it and I can afford it and everything. But I remember it was really nice back then to be able to have that and to get that for free, even if I was doing a sub, because I knew like, hey, if I wanted to start a new character or if I went away from the game and came back and I didn't want to do the sub right away, I had that. I owned that piece of it.
Right.
So I own both of those two things.
Do you think that's still a majority or a minority opinion, though?
Well, you know what? It's one of those things. I know it's probably a minority opinion in there because, again, I'm part of that group of the old timers, like free is free. So now instead of having to pay like maybe 800 crowns for it, they could have easily have said, all right, we're going to discount the DLC if you complete all this stuff. I mean, they didn't have to give us something free.
Right.
We really, even those houses that they gave us, like I said, I'm all on the free train.
Right.
Because,
Well, I think
you see what I'm saying there?
The main difficulty here is that people feel like they're contributing to something that they're not actually going to get any real value out of.
Yeah,
that's where I can see the complaint around it is like, well, why would once we hit tier 2, why would I keep working because I'm not getting anything?
Correct.
From it, And there are going to be people who are like, oh no, I want people to have this. They're going to be nice. There are the nice people in the world who want everyone to get the reward, even if it doesn't benefit them. But for a lot of people, they're going, why would I help
in and
out?
As well, which is like, because then it's like, okay, well, you get it for when you're not subbed as well, so that there's a benefit there. But it's like for the devotees,
for the one demographic who never goes off sub, I can see why they would be upset by this. I don't know what the solution for that is. Like, it's one thing for us to say, well, just be nice and help everyone else out.
I mean,
but at the same time, were they missed out on?
So
did they?
Also, to be fair, just to mention, they don't technically get nothing. Everybody gets something. They just lose part of it. You get like an Ogrim test dummy and some other stuff as well for hitting the final tier. I just know the big prize is something that so it's not like there's no incentive, but there is, to your point, and to my own point, whatever.
I'm just laying out the reason why I would assume that people would be upset about it.
Right, because you're essentially losing out on something that you would gain from not being subbed, which is just a weird situation to kind of fall into.
Well, and also, we're assuming that the stats are going to prove that, because I could see that with something like with the antiquarian system, where you had to do a lot of stuff. You had to do it every day. You had to really grind it out. This, once you finish it, it's done on that character.
Right.
So if I'm someone who doesn't have a sub, hey, you know what? I'm going to contribute to this. I'm going to get on my one character. I'm going to go around and run around and take about 20 minutes, and boom, I've got it. I've contributed.
Yeah.
I think the numbers for, and I'm just theorizing, I would think that would be the case. Even though we might see more of the subs contributing to it because they're just more active, but it's such an easy one to jump in and jump out of, which is maybe why they did it this way.
So maybe what I think you're trying, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but almost like to the point of, like, I mean, to be fair, a lot of people probably already have these achievements done, at least on their main character for Pathfinder. Is this the extra, like, was this added almost as not, this is something these people aren't getting, but this is something to nudge more casual people into actually doing?
Bingo.
Like
absolutely.
from that direction, it's almost like looking at it from another perspective. I guess I could kind of almost see that as like, look, we're going to add this to try to coax people into doing this, as opposed to, because it is retroactive. So like, if you've already done it, like, I didn't need to do it on my main character. It was already done. Like, I didn't do anything. I found the last couple on Guar.
I'm not doing a whole lot of extra work as a sub, to kind of do it. Maybe I'm getting on a few of my alts, to get it done, but it's not taking, like I said, I remember with the antiquarian thing, I was actually literally getting upset that people weren't digging. And I'm just like, I dig so much. I dug so much because it was, you just kept on earning it and earning it. It wasn't a cap or an ending to it. Where, like, as soon as you've done all of your characters, no matter how many characters, you're done with this Pathfinder. You can't do it anymore.
That's true.
Yeah.
And then, the other thing is, which, I'm not big into comparing it from year to year or whatever, but other people have compared it to other rewards we've gotten, for better or worse. But the big problem I have is it's very hard, especially because I tend to fall on the minority side of this argument by a pretty massive landslide again. Cosmetics don't tend to really do anything for me, which is not a thing that people generally, like, that is actually most people's end games. And I'm like, cool, I've still been in glass armor since the game started.
Okay. I don't care that you don't have like a whole lot of different fashions, but you picked glass.
Look, glass is beautiful. Look,
I don't mind it at all. I just wanted your reaction.
this call is over. No.
Lotus would have been fine with just the painted armor from year one.
Oh
He
yeah,
was
no,
fine with that.
I mean, it was
Nord bath towel, every character.
Yep, that's all. So it's like I don't. And it's funny because one of the things I was explaining to somebody, it's not that I don't like cosmetics, it's that I like them once. And once I do them, I'm not changing them. I'm like, that's it. I'm done. Yeah. We're all done here. So like that's my thing. It's my thing with Matt. But on the other side of things, like
Curtis's own wardrobe is just the same outfit over and over and over.
Yeah, I have 76 black shirts.
That's right.
This one is black. This one is dark gray.
I just imagine Lotus looking at the armory and that it included an outfit change, and it says, "Why?"
I don't get
why. I don't get this.
The dark gray one's only dark gray because it just got washed.
Yeah, it's been in the sun too long. That was my original black.
Yeah.
It's just, that's the thing. It's like, what do you, people were talking about like, oh yeah, you can have different costume slots. I don't know why you'd keep buying slots to just have the exact same setup. It's weird. But
some people are colorblind. You're just outfit blind.
Yeah, I'm just outfit blind. It all looks the same to me.
I imagine in real life, your closet is like you see in those movies where it's all the same black T-shirt or the same black suit.
Oh yeah, it's just the Archer skit. Like, but like, so, you know, a selling point of a new mount or something like that is great for one person, not for another. Some people don't like non-combat pets. Other people love them. So it's definitely hard to hit the mark for everybody. And this is actually only the second time they've done a free giveaway of a DLC. If you don't want to include Imperial City because they were basically just trying to make it more accessible, which I'm glad they did. I don't really include this because it wasn't a login reward. They were just like, we're going to stop charging for Imperial City, so here you go. But some people who have been around for a few years remember this. Murkmire was actually a daily login reward the month it came out. And most people didn't care because they're like, well, I have ESO Plus. What the hell do I care about this? Like,
right.
I was like, I need to log in every day because I don't have to pay for this DLC if I get this.
Right.
Which is so funny because when you think about like how much time that takes compared to how much you would get paid per hour for your time.
Absolutely. No.
It's so funny.
Yep.
But
it is.
But it saves you money, and so you do it. Yeah.
And I mean, to be fair, I usually hit most of the rewards. I miss like at most like a week's worth of days, like anyways, because I usually hop on for at least 10 minutes or something like that at bare minimum. But I just, that month I was like, I gotta get this. I gotta do it. I gotta make sure.
And I think any reward that we get is always going to have a group that misses the mark. You know, it's like, why are we doing another house for the people who don't do any housing?
Right. I mean,
it's like, why are we doing antiquities? I hate the antiquities.
Yes.
And stuff. I know.
Well, a lot of people didn't like the antiquity event. They're like, I don't want to fucking do antiquities. I'm like, hell yeah, antiquities. Woo.
That's why I did so much. I was just like, nobody do it. I'm like, I'm making sure I get that house. And that house has a pool in the back. And,
yeah. And you know,
wait, you're a cat. You don't like water.
I know.
On the housing topic, there's benefits to houses and stuff like that, but it's one of those situations where, one, if you're not into housing, that's not a selling point to you really. Or two, you bought all the houses in the game because you needed the achievements, and they're all just empty plots of crap that are completely unused. I've designed 2 houses, and I think I have 16 more that I've never even gone in. So I
was just going to ask you, do you go from that perspective? It just dawned on me right now that for just the achievement, you buy the house.
I bought every house in the base game with gold for.
Oh my gosh!
Wow, I didn't even think that. I'm that's the level of achievement. I applaud you. I mean, I'm not making fun at all. I'm just like, because I never thought about it. It's like I buy the houses because I see what maybe I could make out of it.
Yep. No.
And then, but because of your achievements and you like that achievement, you buy it solely because I got to have the achievement.
Yeah. You needed to have all three of them.
Awesome.
You needed to buy all 3 of the most expensive castles for each of the alliances. Then you needed 5 of the second highest tier houses, and then like 7 of the third highest tier houses. I forget exactly how much it ended up.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
You get a special title called Lord if you own all of the...
Lord.
Yeah, it's Lord.
Oh my gosh, Lord Lotus.
So, like,
I love it.
Just for the 3 main ones, they're just...
LLD.
They're like 3 million and change. So just to buy the 3 castles, that's essentially 10 million gold. Or however many billion crowns. I have no idea. I did those in gold. So like for the longest time, people were like, why don't you have any money? I was like, because I have a housing addiction. And they're like, oh, can I see them? I'm like, no, only one of them's designed. The rest are all empty.
And all it is like a bowl of soup in the middle of the diet, you know?
Yeah. So if I remember...
You're like the weird slumlord that just buys up property and does nothing.
No, I'm just waiting for that. I just need that market to... Once that balloon bursts... But yeah, if I remember correctly, if you want to get all of the... Same thing with... separate from... This has turned into a weird housing direction.
I feel like this is your Tales.
Yeah, right? So like... I feel like it was around 19 million to own literally all of the achievement-based property. It was like 19 or 20 million gold total to own enough property to have all the achievements. But then there's actually achievements for having a certain amount of items of a certain type in that property at a time, which a lot of people won't even know exists. Which...
So did you just move furniture around?
I built 100 Khajiit rugs and threw them on the floor in one of my houses.
I can't fuck you if it's Khajiit rugs.
Well,
I tell you, you're good.
It cost so many mats. Like, I obliterated my mat supply to do these things because it was like, because some of the ones that fall into categories, like, you've got Undercroft or, Arboretum. I have no idea what the actual titles are, but like
this is commitment, man. This is commitment.
And one of them, I could only find 2 different things that fell into this one category you needed, and one of them was like a halalu towel, and I'm like, what? Okay. And it was like, build 75 of these things, and they were expensive. It was like a purple recipe, and I was like, God, no. And I just dumped mats into this and just...
You're so committed.
I just built an archway into the house out of them because I was like, I just want to make it apparent that these exist.
Right?
You built like a structure that looks like a statue in the end of yourself. Yeah. It's like Lord of the House. But it's just you in the front.
But it's not me being proud.
Built out of furniture.
It's my character with his head in his hands.
just crying. Yeah,
there's so many.
This is gonna drive you nuts. The way you treat achievements is very different from how I treat achievements. You treat them as like these like goals that need to be worked on and you need to knock them all out.
Sure do.
I treat them as just fun surprises that pop up every so often.
Oh, that hurts my soul.
I'm like, oh look, I did a thing.
I did a thing.
That's fun.
Whereas I've got a spreadsheet. I'm like, all right, if I do this, I can get this at the same time. It'll save me time from doing both of these independently.
No, it's just a fun thing that pops up on occasion. I'm like, oh, I got an achievement. What is it?
Oh, God.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm the middle ground then of this group because I'm kind of like, oh, I'm that close to this one. Well, let's give it a try.
Yeah, I don't target achievements at all. To me, they're a fun notification of how I play the game.
Right.
So they're basically a personality analysis. So if I open up the achievement list, I can see like these are the things I naturally do. None of it is artificially targeted. It's all a representation of naturally what I do in the game and what actually I'm drawn towards. So you could pull up my achievement list and know exactly the kind of player I am.
You could also look at mine and just be like, this person is insane.
Exactly. So it works for both of us.
Yes.
The same exact way.
Well, I do have to say the Northern Elsewhere, Savior of Elsewhere was the one that I went after because it gave me my orange.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, a lot of people
Iniquitous
do
Sunrise.
Yeah.
That was my. I was making a beeline. What do I need to do to get this done? So.
Well, and I guess, before we move on from this, another one that I didn't know, because, again, it's always funny because you only generally see things from your perspective. And it's nice when you can recognize other perspectives when it's not one that you saw from. And I remember back when I hit rank 40 in PvP, I went into one of my trials or whatever, and it was during Mid-Year Mayhem, and I was like, I'll take a brief break from PvP, and we'll do our trial or whatever. And somebody was just talking about, like, oh, I've been grinding in there so much. And I was like, oh, I just hit, I hit 40 during this event or whatever. And they're like, oh, my God. And everybody's like, oh, sweet, you hit 40. Do you have Legate Black on? And I'm like, what the hell are all of you talking about? And they're like, it's the best black in the game. What do you mean, what are we talking about? They were like, you get a die called Legate Black for hitting level 40. It's the best black, and nobody has it because nobody wants to play PvP until level 40 just for a die. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. They're like, that hurts our soul that you're not using Legate Black. They were like, you actually have it unlocked and you're not using Legate Black? I was like, oh, sure, I guess. I was like, you have a black helmet on. Put on Legate Black. I was like, meh, that's fine, whatever. So
I don't see colors in outfits.
Right.
Yeah, I don't even see outfits.
And you don't care about the black, but you care about that little box in your most recently
checked thing that then gets buried after I do something different. Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's true.
But it was like, it's a total different reason that somebody would tackle that challenge. That I know Vatashram has supposedly like a really good color dye as well. And that was another
Void
one.
Black.
Yeah, and that's just it. A lot of people were like, "Oh man, you got that," because I originally had done I originally went through it. I was like, "I'm gonna do this on my tank," and the other tanks in my group were like, "Yeah, I can't beat Vatashram," but I want that color to be able to die with. And I'm like, well, make a DPS, I guess. I was like, I didn't even know I unlocked anything. I just beat it. That was the point. So yeah, it's weird to have that different perspective. You do the same thing, but you do it for totally different reasons.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Like I said, the medium ground that I have, because a lot of stuff I'll just kind of let it go. But I did finally get, and I think you knew about it. I finally got my silver skin.
Hell yeah! I saw that the other day.
That was 3 years in the making just to find a group, because everybody would get so close and everything, and I kind of tried to find my all-star group to kind of say, can you kind of come with me? And it's like, oh yeah, sure. And I'm like, yeah, it's my birthday. Could you all want to come and everything? And so that one I've really wanted for a while, because that is some of the most difficult stuff as far as coordination with people in a trial, because it's a really, at least I think it is. Well, because there's a lot of stuff going on there.
You know what? Actually, this is a good segue, because we'll end with the other topic I wanted. We'll actually kind of outro with that, because actually I think that kind of leads us into the Tales, because you guys haven't been. Maddie, you've never been able to do Tales on the show, and Robot, it's been however long since the last time you were on, so many things have transpired. I was gonna say, yeah, why don't we dive into all the stuff we've done since we're here anyways. And yeah, Silver Skin is no joke. For anybody who doesn't know, why don't you give the run through of what that is, because that is actually a besides the cosmetic angle, that's a pretty legit flex, which there's always the, oh, well, how good are you at this? And everybody's ridiculous benchmarks that really don't matter. But that's not easy. As somebody who is currently working on Immortal Redeemer, that's not, that place is not a joke.
No. And so the base of it, I guess we call it is it categorized as a mini trial?
I always call them mini trials. Yeah.
Okay. So basically it's a little shorter, because you're not going through a lot of mobs and stuff. It's got basically 3 sections of it in clockwork style. And basically you're taking, you could do, you could either go to the main boss right away, or you can do side bosses. And for each side boss that you kill before going to the main, it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
If you don't attack them, if you don't kill them, they'll show up as part of the mechanics of the dungeon, which makes it very difficult.
Yes, it starts getting real mechanic heavy, like real
very mechanic, and like you have to do things at certain times and shieldings of things and all that stuff. And so it's a tough coordination. It's a tough dance. So you actually have to have people who know what they're doing, have either progressed through doing it or have completed it to do it. You can't take too many people in there green or you just won't get it done.
Yeah,
because everybody has to do their part. So there really isn't any way to really, because we always talk about like people being carried or something like that. You really can't with that because everybody's got to do their part. With it, at least that's why I tell my brain that I wasn't carried.
Look, I have a weird take on somebody. I will not say whether I do or do not do carries. Everybody knows that actually plays with me what the actual answer to that is. But I will say that if you are part of a team, regardless of what you do, if the team clears it, you got your clear. I don't. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're the all-star of the team or not. No one person can beat a trial. I don't care how good you are. You can be the best of the best, and you need other people in the trial, even if you can do the trial with less people than required. Nobody's going to solo a trial. Or, will I be impressed the day somebody solos a trial, because holy crap. Right. But yeah, it's you're part of a team regardless of what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's so the name of it that people give it because if people want to know, just because they'll hear it, they'll use VAS for Veteran Asylum Sanctorum, and then a plus number. And if you're doing it, with it, they'll go +2, and that's the big deal. Well, I'm actually considering it that we did it +3, and I'll tell you why. Because there's a little feature going on in it right now that if you jump, you die.
Oh. Yes.
There's a bug right now of environmental damage that if you jump, you die. So throughout the whole thing, we actually had people unbind their jump key.
Oh, geez.
To be able to go do it. And so we did the whole thing with that. And then to test it right in back of the boss where most of the DPS would stand, people jumped and instantly died.
Oh, man. And with a controller, you're like do something button is the same as the jump button.
Sure is.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah. This is the one. I'm a PC.
Grab a thing, then
I'm a PC player. This is the one game that I prefer using a controller with on PC.
Wow,
and
we had multiple people
nuts all the time. Is that you go try to talk to somebody, and if you're just out of range, you just start jumping.
I do when I try to
something up. You start jumping, and I'm like, oh my god, just talk to the.
Yeah. When I try to grab something off the ground, like trash off a dead body. It's just like, I'm going to grab this, or I'm going to jump over it.
And then you jump, and then you try to click it a second time to grab it, but you're in the air. Now you're further away.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt.
I'm even more impressed then because I think we had at least 2 people that used controller on the PC that were on that run.
Yeah.
And wow. So so that was a big moment to finally get that one done. And it's like I said, it was 3 years in the making. Because, like I said, it's so hard. You get a lot of people that would get close, and then after doing it for 3 hours or something, people have to go do other stuff. And, it just never got done. And so so that was a big one. So that's probably my biggest tale that I've done in the last couple of weeks.
And to that point, because I will agree with you, it's something similar that we had run into with the Empty Soul Gems and. Us working on Cloud Rest is the mini trials. There are 2 mini trials, Cloud Rest and Asylum Sanctorum. Both similar. Asylum Sanctorum has 2 side bosses that you can pull into the main boss. Cloud Rest has 3 mini bosses that you can then pull into the main boss. And the thing about them is they are much more mechanically convoluted because you're literally going from fighting 1 boss to 2 bosses to 3 bosses, or in Cloud Rest's case, 1, 2, 3, or 4 bosses, including the, you've got the main and then however many minis. That's a lot of things going on all at the same time. So they become more mechanics-based, less DPS-based, which is actually harder for most people than just being able to DPS parse.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear the people say slow on the boss,
right? Because
slow on this.
You'll melt mechanics together too, which then makes everything really confusing. And the thing about them is, to your point of like people have to go eventually, and like trial times tend to be like I don't know if it's still if it's a PC thing, but on console we tend to go in 2-hour blocks for your like trial prog time, because beyond that people start getting sloppy just because you've been doing the same thing for so long. And when it comes to mini trials, there isn't this trek through a raid like a normal full trial. There's one fight, because you're doing it all at once, and you do one thing regardless of how far you get. It's one thing. Doing it for hours, your brain turns to mush and you start getting real bad tunnel vision, and you start then screwing up things that normally you wouldn't screw up, because now you're just kind of zoning out because you've been just on repeat for so long and so long and so long. And we actually, for the mini trials, scaled back from 2 hours to an hour and a half, because we realized that the last half an hour was making us feel, well, one, we were just screwing up a lot, and two, people were feeling burnout harder, because it was just like, oh god, it's like we still have another half hour of this crap. It's like we didn't get it in the first 9 pulls. Why are we going to get it in the last ones where we're barely paying attention anymore? Like, we need a good pull. We don't need practice at this point, if that makes sense. And it's like, so that's to your point, that's very much a thing that you kind of, by practicing, you practice to the point of burning yourself out and then making yourself worse because of over practice, which is weird.
Yeah, you need a break. You need a break at some point. You just need to refresh yourself. That's cool, Benny. Congratulations on the.
Thank you.
That is not a common skin. So. And how about you, Robots? What have you been up to?
So, people, I'm going to explain this, and people are going to be like, "What?" But it makes sense. So give me a second. People are going to be like, "What you do? You do a lore podcast about Elder Scrolls? How is this the way you play the game?" I hold off on playing through the story content in Elder Scrolls Online until this part of the year, almost every year. And part of it is because I want to focus on the content that we are doing on the show. And I know that I'm going to get super excited about the new content that I'm playing and want to talk about all the new content. But Lotus and I have kind of a policy where we don't talk about the newest content on Elder Scrolls Lorecast, because that's all full of all the spoilers and all the new stuff going on, and it's going to ruin people's gameplay and all that, because we want to get through the content that we're talking about, which usually is more general or specific about a specific thing and doesn't necessarily have to do with the storylines going on in the game at that time. So in order to stay focused on the other stuff, I typically will hold off and not necessarily do the story content for the most recent stuff. So about this time last year, we got the ending of the Greymoor expansion, and I had started that up, and then I kind of paused that because I was like, okay, I'm going to hold off on going through this. I just kind of like did the little pre-quest thing and then stopped. I caught up on the rest of the Greymoor stuff, but stopped that. And so just about 2 weeks ago, finished that up. Finished the extra Greymoor stuff up, which Lotus, I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
And then I've been going through the Blackwood content from earlier this year in order to get through the story stuff for that, because that's kind of what I do. I wrap up the previous year. I do the stuff from, that came about earlier in the summer. And so now I feel like, okay, I'm ready for that stuff. I'm ready for the new expansion when it comes out. But and I'm not like, chomping at the bit at the beginning of the summer to talk about all the new content and then spoil out all the stuff for our listeners, right? So last we talked about the Greymoor stuff, you said that you were generally happy with the way that storyline ended.
Yes.
But you had like a little thing that you wanted to bring up. So I've been wondering what that thing is, because for the most part, I'm actually pretty happy with it too. I thought that it was actually it was a lot more than just like, hey, we're going to do more with vampires and werewolves, because they took it a lot further than that, which I really enjoyed once we really got to understand what this black heart was or dark heart was and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give this just, this is from last year's expansion, but just in case you're not interested, maybe give us like 5 minutes worth of spoilers if you are looking to not know anything about how the Dark Heart of Skyrim's season, which is last year, ended.
And this is exactly why we hold off on doing the stuff on the Elder Scrolls Lorecast, because then every episode would be like, this is spoilers for recent content, so don't listen to our show.
So this is not recent content. We actually have discussed on the show the story, but just I don't want to surprise anybody if you're holding off or if you're new to the show. Just 5 minutes or so if you want to totally be completely oblivious as to how the campaign ends. I did enjoy the Greymoor story and the Dark Heart of Skyrim. My problem with the ending was I liked the final boss fight. I liked how it was kind of like your final culmination in that like epilogue thing that you have when you kind of have your final like you beat the thing, and then by beating both of the expansions you unlock that finale. You know what I mean? It's the
right. Yes.
My problem is that several of the things that they gave as an emotional impact, which the death of the shaman from the Reach tribe, I forget her name off the top of my head. She is an awesome character.
I'm so bad at names. This is why we do notes on the show.
Yeah, this is why we have notes specifically on ours. I didn't realize we were going into this discussion, so I do not have the notes on this. Yeah, you can look that up for me. But the Reach Shaman and Count Verandis, they do an emotional pull with that, in which they are both killed / blown up, sacrificed, whatever, for the greater good. And then 5 seconds later, they basically undo that, and they're both alive again.
Yeah. I get that. I get the whole like, their sacrifice wasn't actually a sacrifice.
So I didn't like that because that felt like a cheap attempt at getting an emotional response. The reason I was a little okay with the Reach Shaman, maybe because I really liked that character, so I was like, oh, cool, she's alive.
Yeah, she was cool.
But regardless, it was like, oh man, I actually felt her ending was like, oh shit, like that sucks. It was like, she's awesome. Like, I don't want her to die. The Verandis thing bugs me, and this is kind of what I was, because it's happened more than once with him now. Because it happened in base game, and then you brought him back in the prologue, and then you killed him again, and then you brought him back at the epilogue. I've lost all connection to that character entirely. Like, nothing bad can happen to him because they'll just write him back in, which is super weird because, like, it is really the only story critique I have of that entire chapter because I don't even really like werewolves and vampires that much. And I was like, this is sweet, like, with the weird tie-in with the Reach covens, and they're like, oh, yeah, no, they've got the Reach magic going, and it's got these witch pike things. I was like, dude, this is actually way cooler than I was expecting. And I did not like that one thing. It was like, okay, yeah, everybody likes House Ravenwatch. That's fine. But it felt like they've gone to the well too many times, specifically with Count Verandis, and it's bothering me. Like, I don't like him as a character anymore because of it.
Okay, so here's the way I see it is that is that they've found a way to make Ravenwatch more interesting now because of this. Because you take Verandis out, and you have the two other characters that remain. That were part of the storyline.
Yes.
And so you pass on Ravenwatch to those two characters, which are notably weaker characters.
Sure.
They're a bit less interesting. But then you bring him back, but now he's tainted.
He is.
Yes, I said taint. I'm sorry about that, everyone.
It's fine. We got the explicit tag. Taint.
Hold on. Let me put on my earmuffs.
There you go. Shoot, Maddie, cover yours.
But what I find interesting about this is that, and it was almost a critique for me. This idea of like, okay, so a piece of the void ended up in Tamriel. Okay, wait.
I do love the void thing because that gets weird.
Ended up in Tamriel somehow. What?
Yeah.
Like, wait, like Sithis? Like, what are we talking? What is this even?
Yeah, that I love.
Yeah, that I'm like, okay, what?
Weird.
How does that even make any sense at all? So that makes me go, okay, what are we really even talking about here? But the fact that like he is now, again, tainted by the void, Ravenwatch is poisoned, and on top of that, he is now something other than a vampire.
Right, because he
is
weird super hybrid thing.
He is a something else, which I think makes this interesting again.
I like that you looked behind you for a split second.
My dog pushed the door open, and I was like, what is going on over there?
It's like,
you probably saw it creak open behind me.
Don't you bad mouth Mirandus right now, I tell you.
He's going to creep up behind me. But it makes him a interesting character again. We don't just have the like, oh, he's a vampire, but he's trying to be a good guy. He's trying not to suck people's blood, blah, 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 blah. Now we have okay, what the heck is even going on with this? Is he going to be corrupted by this? Is this something that's going to happen to other people? Mm-hmm. Is this, like, this opens up opportunities and allows us to continue having to deal with this thing of the void entering into our reality, which, correct me if I'm wrong, because sometimes I'm wrong about this stuff. I don't know of any other thing in the lore where this has happened.
I don't.
In this sort of way.
Not that I know of either.
Right.
And I do, to your point, I definitely like that perspective. I guess it's because it was to the same well they've dove into before was what I think. And that's what got me stuck on it, was just the fact that it's like.
But is it even him?
Well,
here's the other thing.
I guess they could take it in a really cool direction.
They could take this in a direction. Like, what if he's being puppeted by this dark power, or like it's not actually him anymore, or like this could go in so many different directions. Maybe we think it's him, but it's not. Maybe it's him, but he slowly gets more and more corrupted by it. What if it's like, this could be lots of different things. And that becomes a much more tragic death, because he was in this story, he's a character who has been redeemed through his actions and his sacrifice. But now to see him fall prey to this deep dark force that seems more powerful and out of anybody's reach to really deal with or even understand, that sounds like a big bad that is worth having to deal with. This is no longer, let's just repel Mehrunes Dagon and get him out of Tamriel, or let's push back Molag Bal again. This is something we haven't seen in the storylines for Elder Scrolls Online.
I guess what it would be is, if that ends up being a focus that they go down, maybe that'll be enough that it's like, okay, like there was like a deep dark meaning to this. But if
it's not him, then who would it have been?
Right. I mean,
the shaman lady, maybe,
but
she wasn't really in contact with it.
Right. She was also a new character. He's been established.
His character was being tainted by the void. He was feeling it, like he was already being like drawn to it through his connection. Like he made the most sense to play that part.
Right. And it's not that it doesn't make sense if that's where they're going with it, because they would kind of need to use him. But it's just the fact that I almost felt like we were repeating the same story just in a different setting, where I was like, that's not really how I wanted that to end on that note. Not that it needed to end in fucking tragedy. Like, it's not just like, oh man, anybody lived,
everyone should have died.
Like, it doesn't need to be that. That's not what I mean. It's
does he reach a new level of tier of character arc there to such a, not like a Lyris degree or anything like that or something, but are we getting that? I mean, because I agree that like it did seem a little repetitive with that.
Yes,
but is
there more to it? No, but to your point, is there more to it? Like, are they going somewhere other than, well, he's back because you all love him? Because don't get me wrong, it's a thing that this game does, and it's a thing a lot of games do, but people like it. You like recurring characters. It gives you familiarity and kind of gives you a grounding because you've been there since the beginning. So you get these cool little side dialogue things that the game actually accounts for a lot of times. Not always, but like a lot of conversations that you can get from being able, like, because you've been there through the other expansions. You'll meet people again. They'll remember you. That is really cool.
Yeah. And I think I think you've answered that there is both. As a storyline in game and stuff, it puts him into a very interesting, bigger arc. Right. But I also think that he is a fan favorite. There's a lot of fandom around him in there. And I think of bringing him back is something, well, I mean, it's kind of like, actually, I don't know if how much I'm supposed to ever say on these things and stuff, everything about.
We did say spoilers.
Yeah, this one's kind of in spoiler territory. Once it's like,
we also didn't see him die.
Yeah, he kind of blew up in the finale.
Abner Thorpe. Excuse me.
We saw him. Right.
Yes, Abner Thorpe is another one.
Remain. Yeah. We saw him. We saw
that level,
right? We haven't seen him die. Like a lot of these characters, we presume to be dead,
right?
Because they die off camera,
right? And that's right. Yeah, and it's like,
so which it sounds like, Lotus, you don't mind about. It's just how this was done.
It's
the repetition,
correct? And it's really the fact. I don't even have a problem with characters being resurrected because the game's full of magic and Daedric realms and all sorts of nonsense. Like that's totally fine. It's whatever. Right. Like. But it's like the thing that bugged me with the end of that, because again, I was pretty satisfied. And for that example, I didn't mind. It was like, oh, the Reach lady's back. Like, okay, cool. Like, that's fine. And, when the souls were severed and a lot of the souls went back to their bodies, if their bodies weren't like torn apart, it was like, oh, cool. That's pretty neat. Like, I totally drive with that. And the problem with him was that we ended base game with him being kind of ambiguously dead because at the Doom Crag we didn't really know, but then it was like confirmed that it was like, no, he's dead, dude. Like, and it's like, but then you do the prologue and you bring him back, and I'm like, oh, okay, that didn't bother me there. It's the fact that then in that same year's chapter we then both kill and resurrect him again. I'm like, we're going to the well a lot with this, with just this character. So
please send your hate mail to Lotus at 555.
My Twitter will be on fire, specifically from Strawberry Tiki and a bunch of the community who loves Vamp.
Like,
I get it.
Tiki's gonna go after it.
Like, you can only play that card so much until it feels like, well, what else are you gonna do here?
Right.
Exactly. And I don't feel the game does that very much. Yeah. So I think that also why it stuck out more to me, where it's like, you guys don't tend to go to the same well quite so much, especially so quickly.
I think why this time it didn't bother me as much is because it went to this emotional place of him, of us getting to relive the things that, like, we get to see the things that he did or said specifically in his past. Yeah. That he now regrets and are echoing. And I feel like that's
that
cool.
That's
a very modern thing. How is the internet going to do with us? Like the tweet you sent 10 years ago is now, echoing for you. Or that's kind of, I mean, it's very modern
that
problem,
sandwich that picture of that sandwich is really good.
Oh yeah.
Tweet, the picture is good.
But it's, we see
we
him
cancel rye bread and then
through...
it's a bad sandwich.
we see him go through this like regret of like these things that he put into motion. We find out that like he's underneath so much of what is actually going wrong with things, and
I hope that's kind of where they go with it. Like,
I mean, that's it. That is where they went.
But I mean,
he had to stand there in front of everyone and basically say, "Guys, I messed up,
right?
And I'm sorry."
But so, and that's just it. Now, like to your point, it's like they went through that with him. They gave him a character. He's back again. I hope they go with like, okay, well, now is he even that character anymore? Like, is there some, you know what I mean? It's like,
is this really him?
That would probably,
or is this his body being puppeted?
Exactly. To be fair, that would actually probably make me like the ending more. But we haven't gotten to that point in the story yet. So I'm just going with what information we have. And that flattened out the ending to me because I actually really liked it's been said a million times. The difficulty on overworld story stuff is not very hard. For the majority of people do underplay how difficult it is for people who are new to the game.
I find people who are new to the game, the mistake they make the most is they treat it like a regular RPG, where they're trying to use their main weapon the most, and then they don't hit their cooldowns very often. where this is the opposite. You hit your cooldowns more, use your main weapon in between.
Yes.
And that's the main mistake they make. And if they just will swap that thinking, they'll do fine.
Right. And you know, but before we like kind of finish with this idea, and the spoilers are done for the most part. It's like the thing is, like, a lot of people is like, oh, I wish Overworld was harder. Don't worry, I do too. I hear that, like, because you truck through. Nothing can move my health bar below like 4% of like damage. But like when you're new to the game, I've actually helped people like that have just started out, and they're like, I literally can't beat this story boss. And sometimes it takes me a minute because I'm like, holy crap, what? And it's like, oh wait, well, you don't have any sets, and you don't know a rotation, and it's like you're using things that don't really complement each other even, and your skills are part magic and part stamina, and you've got a little in every one of the 3 attributes, which is becoming more of a thing anyways with the hybrid build. But like,
right.
That type of thing.
They don't understand any of the things,
still
and it's all just working against itself.
Yeah, I was hot trash when I started this game too, and now I'm mediocre trash.
That is actually an achievement, mediocre trash. That's why he's mediocre.
Yeah, I can't be above
choosing
it.
to do it on purpose.
So like, I do get it, but at the same time, like, to the point of story epicness, when you are a literal god essentially walking through the story, and it's like, oh, here's the big bad, and it's like, dude, I will skull punch through the back of your head. You have nothing on me.
Yeah.
Like,
the fight lasts all of a minute, and then you're like,
but.
Well, that's so I can make my speech.
Yeah, exactly.
You haven't heard of me? I'm the last snow Khajiit.
Exactly. So like, during that fight, I really liked the last couple of fights in that, because there were just like some cool bits that I really enjoyed. So I was like, oh, this is neat. I mean, I was like, there's no threat of death, but this looks really cool. Like, I
having
like
a portal up on top of the different things, and like that part was pretty cool.
Yep, and then then the protection shield thing during that. It's just without going in all the mechanics, it's neat. I liked them, so it was cool. But yeah, that was really my only holdup, was that little story point there for you. So that was really the only downer I felt to the story, which maybe isn't a downer in the end if they end up kind of going into a weird direction that I just haven't seen yet.
I think it's an opening. I think they brought that. I think what they felt like they needed to do was show us that he was around, so that one, we didn't end up with another Abner Tharn. Like, oh, is he dead or is he not? They didn't want to leave us with something that we didn't know when they knew that he wasn't going to be dead. And two,
not dead.
And two, like, lead up to like, okay, this thing is still here in Tamriel, and it has still corrupted somebody. Like, there is somebody walking around who is now going into live off for the rest of his life and hiding somewhere. But like, how's that going to work out? This seems like a big problem. A piece of the void is in Tamriel. Like, this is a big deal.
That doesn't seem good. Yeah, that seems bad.
Seems bad.
Yeah.
Seems bad.
Big deal. So I liked that, because it was a way of reminding us that, like, this thing's not done. There's more coming, and it's probably going to be centering around at least this character, or whatever happens with this character behind the scenes by the time this topic comes back up.
Sure.
So, and I think they probably needed to do that from a narrative standpoint. Did it have to be him? You know, maybe it wouldn't have felt so redundant had it been another
was
character
somebody different. But then you wanted somebody that you still had a connection to.
Or we didn't think that he died. You know, like, did they have to pull the whole, like, we could have had a situation where he made an emotional sacrifice that wasn't necessarily
It was also like, very quick too, from the final thing to then there's like one more quest, and it's like, oh, hello again. It's like, wow, okay, that didn't even settle in. I didn't even get you flowers yet. Like, all right,
cool, man. Yeah.
And it's like, look over your shoulder. Oh, hi.
I guess as you're getting the flowers, it's like, oh, never mind. I don't need these. He's fine.
Right. All right. Cool, buddy. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing. I've been catching up on all the story bits that I've been waiting to do. So it's been fun.
So mine are pretty, well, I guess I'll start with my super hype one, because much in the terms of similar situation to Matygon, I did this, actually, it was, I joked that it was my birthday gift, but there were several of us who had birthdays over the span of like 3 days in my trials group. And the night before my birthday, I had been in a Griffinheart prog that started as a purple skin group. maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago, which to get your purple skin, much like Maddie had described the silver skin, it's the other mini trial of Vet Cloud Rest +3, which is you doing all of the mini bosses at the same time. And we got it in a very quick period of time, but this group was formed of some people with skins and some people without skins, basically because so many of us had been
skeletons.
Yes, skeletons. So
skinless people? That's like skeletons.
Well,
right?
yeah, but I mean, I needed to earn my skin. It's not just given to me. We had all been training in various other groups, and it had not gone well, as many of my previous tales had said, where it's just like, no shade to any of the groups I've ever run with. It is very difficult. And anybody who tells you these things are not difficult, they're full of shit. They don't remember when it was difficult is what it was.
Right.
So we formed the group. They called us the Empty Soul Gems.
And you went out on tour.
We did.
We formed a super group.
And yeah, actually very true. And we managed to get purple skin, and we did it pretty quick, and everybody had a lot of fun playing with each other. And they were like, well, only one person here has Griffin Heart. What if we try to do the trifecta? And several people were like, okay, that's a bit of a jump from just can we beat this to can we beat this in 15 minutes without a single death? And we decided to get to work on that and try it. And I mentioned that I just basically wasn't going to bore everybody with updates, but I made the joke the night before my birthday, for our birthday gift, can we just get the goddamn Griffin Heart real quick? And everybody started joking, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll make sure to package that right up for you." And we've been doing really good, not Griffin Heart, but very good. And that was when somebody was like, "Hey, it's my birthday today," and I was like, "Oh shit!" And they were like, "Is it really your birthday tomorrow?" I was like, "Yeah." And then 2 other people chimed in, and we're like, "Well, it's actually my birthday tomorrow too." Everybody's like, wait, how many people have birthdays in this group in like the next 3 days? And it turned out there were 4 of us that apparently
and you guys were all like long lost quadruplets.
And it turns out we're all related.
That's an amazing story.
And we went in and everybody was joking around about how like, oh, it's going to be a birthday gift. And I'm not going to say who died the first run because I don't want them to feel bad, because it was actually funny and they shouldn't feel bad. But on our first poll of the night, right before we went into execute, we had a DPS die, and he muted his mic mid-scream because he was so mad. As we're in execute, it was just kind of like a thing where we're like, all right, cool, well, we're off to a good start. And me, because I do things weird, I was like, well, I don't want there to just be one death. So I ran at the group and blew myself up. So we had 2 deaths. And I was like, see, you didn't die alone. There were 2 of us. And people are just like, oh, that's pretty funny. Ha, ha, ha. And the next poll, we actually got Griffin Heart. So for my birthday, yeah, I got the trifecta in Cloud Rest, which... in the nicest of terms, fuck you, Finn. That is the most obnoxious trial imaginable.
Oh my gosh!
I hate it. To be fair, it's very, very difficult. It's actually kind of neat, but it's just, oh my god, it is brutal. But it finally happened. They fixed the other thing is, as much as I will complain about things, a lot of people brush under the rug when something is done correctly and only bring up when it's done like crap. I had mentioned that there were some serious synergy issues that I really hope they got fixed, because it was actually screwing up several of our runs when we could not use the synergies that caused you to live. They totally fixed it last patch. They totally fixed. So kudos to the team on that. That is not an issue currently whatsoever. We didn't even have it happen once from what I remember. You could drop ice and you could use portals, no problem. So that really streamlined things. And because we had been failing via that for so long, the fact that we never had to give it a second thought, it almost just made things like, oh my God, it all just works now. Like, sweet. So I was very, very pleased. That is the first trial trifecta I've ever tried for and actually accomplished. I've never tried any of them. So,
Congrats.
thank you.
That's huge.
Nice.
Yeah. So very, very happy with that. And yeah, we had just started it, but we actually moved on to Immortal Redeemer, which is the trifecta in the Asylum, which you had just mentioned. So yeah, I've blown up a lot in there. Off tank is a lot. You run around a lot as an off tank. My legs are tired after that.
I can appreciate your CR. Well, I actually do have my purple.
Yes,
but it was.
You got your purple before me because originally
I did because I was joking with you.
I know you were like,
going
how do you not have your raisin skin if I have mine?
Well, right? I'm just like that doesn't compute that I have an achievement that you don't have. But you volunteered that information. You're like, I don't have that.
No,
you don't.
Yep,
I was like,
I don't know.
It was one of those things. I just was in. That one was I went after it for a long time too, but it was in the right place at the right time that I knew enough of it.
Yep.
And one of the big groups, one of the big ones needed a fill. And they're like, Maddie's on, like the healer knew me. And they're like, he can do it. And like, I had never been to the end.
Oh.
Where I had to stand on a certain side of
for fire. And I did not know that, and I died, and I wiped the entire group, and I felt so bad because I'm like, what do I do? I didn't know, and I was, it's me, and I don't mind being wrong or corrected. I'm just like, what was I supposed to do there and everything? I've never been to that point, and they're like, oh, Maddie, you just stand right here. Yep.
And I'm just like, okay.
You stay on this foot.
You stay on this foot, and you don't move. I'm like, okay. And so we did it again, and we got it. And I was just like, but it was another one of those that like, you got to know what you're doing in there. It's like, I was the last person on, but I wasn't a carry because you have to get all the stuff right to be able to get that. If you screw up a mechanic in there, you're likely to take out a lot of people. Like, and that's what I did the first time. So that's why I knew. I was like, oh my God.
So don't get me wrong. Like, so I off tanked. So I was the mini tank throughout the Griffinheart team. So I would fill in for portals during practice runs, and I originally had practiced main tank, but then or a portal tank, and I was switching. So they were like, okay, you're consistently here. You're gonna be our mini tank, and so that also requires me to kite. I'm the kiter in the back for this like purple death beam for anybody. These are sort of the mechanics to Cloud Rest, super vague, but. Every now and then, I can dispel this myth for anybody who might tell you otherwise. Poking Zamaja's husk with a taunt will not make you immune to fire that Maddie was just talking about. That was a long-standing myth that everybody in my group had actually heard before, and I have video evidence of me getting fire constantly while she's taunted. So that's not a thing. So if anybody tells you that, they're just unaware that is not true. It is a myth. But it's really stressful because unlike when you're up on either of the feet and you just shift to the side that doesn't have the fire, I have to run in and find which side doesn't have fire because I'm not in the group. And so you know that you're not alone here. Our favorite one, which we analyzed for a while and realized that is the worst RNG that's probably ever hit. So normally you have 3 tanks in Cloud Rest. One of the tanks will sit kind of like in the group. The other one's obviously tanking, and they flip-flop if the execute abuse gets too bad with Baneful or anything like that. Don't worry about what that means. If you haven't done this, it's not a big deal. And then I'm the 3rd tank. And what happened is normally it puts this fire thing we're talking about is 2 people are chosen to have this fire AoE grow around them. And you need to stand next to teammates to diffuse the fire because its meteor will hit you and it will hit you for 600,000 damage. But if you diffuse it between 2 people, well, okay, now it's like 300,000 damage. You diffuse it between 3 people, you got to diffuse enough to clear it. Like, so that everybody takes damage, but you all live. That's the gimmick. And if you stack 2 fires, you're all doomed. That's the end because this it doubles up the amount of fire, and it's
which the big thing is that it's different than if you're doing any of the other runs at it. Any of the,
Correct.
where like everybody goes into one big group behind the final boss. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't know about the mechanic.
Execute, they give you two. Normally there's only one. So it's a thing that if you've never seen Execute, you wouldn't know this. So that's why you break into these two groups. Well, I got Fire, and I started to run in, and I paused behind the group, and I was like, where do I fucking go? Because there were 3 AoEs covering the ground.
Oh, no!
And I'm like, who has Fire? And they were just like, go left. And at the same time, people were like, go right. I'm like, duh! And I just dove right, and we all died. And right was not the correct answer. When we watched the video back, it gave me as the off-tank Fire, and it gave the other tank Fire at the same time.
Whoa!
No one in the group was like, I don't know.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
He was like, I don't know what to. I didn't even know to tell you to go to the other side because I thought I was standing on one of the DPSs that got Fire. So we didn't realize we needed to split the tanks in 2 directions. Just it didn't register quick enough. Had we known, we still could have saved it. It's not impossible, but like it just didn't click because that never really happens.
Oh my God.
But it was just awkward as hell. So I've blown up plenty of people in there.
Yeah.
So don't feel
Too
bad.
much fire.
Yeah, too much fire.
Yeah.
Never play
Too
with
much
fire.
Never play with fire.
And it's conversations like this, Lotus, that for anyone who comes into my chat ever and is just seeing me juggling for about an hour and says, "Is this all you do?" I kind of want to. I just want to give them that cover. Can I just like snippet this?
Yep.
And like play this for you. It's like my knowledge and completion of this. Of like, yes, I do, and have a knowledge of end game stuff.
Exactly. I mean, I have Master Angler, so I've sat and just fished for hours too. There's a lot of options in this game.
Yeah.
On the flip side of things, I was actually running Dragonstar Arena because I was trying to get the lead for, speaking of antiquities, the Death Dealer's Feet.
Yep.
Feet. Fete. However you want to pronounce that.
Whatever it is. We need a French person.
Yes. Oh, my healer is French. She'll correct me. And I always say how much I can't stand RNG. Well, okay, I finally have a reason to not be upset with RNG. I got it on my second run.
Nice.
Which, shout out to one of my guildies who is currently on 107 and still hasn't gotten his.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like, oh,
it's ridiculous.
God. Because DSA or VDSA, which is Dragonstar Arena or Vet Dragonstar Arena, you can get you can get it. Yeah, you can get it on either. So we actually were power leveling our companions by doing it on normal. It's a great source of experience.
Yep.
And not difficult on normal with a companion. So we did 2 of us, and each of us had a companion. It is so long. It's basically just shy of an hour because there's a lot of downtime between rounds. It is not quick. There's a 30-second delay in between each round, which adds up when you have 9 rounds. And there's a lot of talking, like NPC dialogue. So it is slow. But I mean, it's older content. It's from Craglorn, so like they were still kind of getting their bearings at that point. And then I have been pugging Rockgrove just on normal because during this event, double drops. Double drops are great because there is a motif that drops out of there as well as gear because Saxiel is an awesome set that I love forever and ever, provided they never nerf it. Please don't ever nerf it, only buff it. And I got my ice staff out of there finally. It was the last piece I needed. And I've gotten you get 2 motif pages if it's your first clear of the place of the week. So I've actually been using all my alts, which is bad because none of them are really geared properly. So I'm just like, yeah, no, here's my DPS parse in this group. It's a totally
you get that on normal?
Yes, it comes out of the completion coffer actually.
Oh,
yes.
So if you did so it behooves to do a lot of normal runs.
A lot of normal runs because you'll get your weekly completion coffer. Yep. you will. I've gotten 2 motifs out of every completion, so I am currently sitting on my 8 motif pages. I've gotten a couple of duplicates, so I'm trying to trade them for the other pages I need. But yep, you'll totally get the double drops out of that. So it's definitely worth it for your weeklies.
I think you may have given me an idea for maybe something for streamer trials.
Hell yeah. And speaking of streamer trials, that's kind of how I will close out my tales. I got to join you guys on PC for streamer trials.
Yeah, you did. Look at you. Big boy pants.
Yeah, so...
Big boy pants.
One thing that I didn't tell any of you, which this will be a fun surprise for you and anybody else listening. I had no add-ons because I don't play with add-ons because I'm from console. So that was add-on free for me, which I assume I was the only person in that trial without any add-ons.
Oh, of course. Oh my gosh.
So that was definitely.
Well, you died 205 times, so we figured out
203. No.
Wow.
No, I died. It took us a while to get through there, but actually it was a lot of fun. I tried an entirely different. I have never DPS'd Vet Halls of Fabrication. I've only ever tanked it and off-tanked it. So I learned a few things from DPSing it. One of which is the second fight is incredibly nerve-wracking as a DPS because the tank holds your life in his hands and can just wipe you away at the drop of a hat. Which I'm really going to use to my advantage going back to tanking that place. But
what did you say about me? What did you say about me?
What was that? Suddenly
he's got a list on the fridge.
It's weird. All of a sudden, my bash button isn't working just on this side. But no,
I forgot how hard that trial is.
Halls of Fabrication was the hardest of the hard for a long time. But that's, it was fun. And I got my skin on PC, actually. That was the first skin I got on PC. And man, Mage DK is rough for that rotation. And that final boss, I can barely reach him from the platform as a Mage DK. Because I got my little stumpy skills. But it was... It was a lot of fun. I definitely enjoyed that quite a bit. It was fun to run a vet trial with you all. Skinny Cheeks, I think, wins the day with him running around with the all the enraged ads.
Yes.
He just kept casting. I think it was Twisting Path to get extra speed. All these little mini ads enraged during one of the boss fights, and they all went for Skinny Cheeks at the same time. And they will blow up and just blow you away. It's just like you're supposed to kill them before they get enraged.
Yeah, and one will take you out.
Yes.
So
he had 6.
Pack.
And we were continuing the boss fight while he was running and screaming around the outside of the map, just trying to not get touched by them while we continued the boss fight.
Oh my gosh! I wish I had video of it. I probably do have at least a little bit.
We should go back and clip and just because periodically I would just see him run by and be like, yeah, just like I had no idea at the time why he was doing it, and then I would see the trail of them. So it was very funny. I think that was probably the highlight of that thing. So, but yeah.
And going back to, what we talked at the beginning of this, where we talked about, in that group, we have, we have devs.
Yeah.
We have streamers.
Rich was there with us.
Rich was there. Finn was there. Gilliam the Rogue was there with us. We had streamers, Skinny Cheeks, builds extraordinaire. We had myself, we had Ninja614, we had No Lollygagged and Old Mama Dragon on Heels. Yep. We had, we just had so many people. Reishi was there. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Definitely worth checking out. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my tales. So what I figure we'll do before we close up, there's one topic that I want to just bring up briefly, just because I'm kind of glad that it has a happy ending. I didn't really know how to address this beforehand, but it did seem to affect some people from our community. And the reason I kind of wanted to bring it up is we have both on Tales and on Lorecast, and I know, as part of the stream team, you've seen it firsthand. We tend to, and in fact, we started this show saying, like, these devs are involved. They know when things are not good, when they are good. They communicate with us, and that's a very big selling point of this game, is they kind of try to keep people in the loop. And there was a weird situation on PC EU amongst some of the top trading guilds and top trading players where they were banned. Nephis also does a video on this on YouTube if you want to check out his take on it. It was prior to the resolution coming about earlier. But basically what happened was several people were flagged for cheating or duplicating, to be exact. And it was a gold duplication thing. And they received bans and basically warnings like, you were found that you were duplicating. You can't do that. That's against the terms of service. And people have claimed all sorts of things, like I was unwrongfully banned. Okay, well, yes, nobody ever does anything wrong, and it's always a lot of times people don't tell the whole side of the story on their side, and it turns out they're banned for something totally different, or they're just lying. I didn't have really good information on any of this except what I had heard. And I'm like, well, this does seem peculiar. Like, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of benefit to these people doing this. But, like, I don't know. I don't have anything. But the thing that I stood, and I retweeted one of our community members, Kika, who kind of just was like, I feel very reasonably typed up a thing, which was taken down from the forums, which, again, they don't want to necessarily talk about disciplinary actions against accounts. That's not really a thing you talk about, like, publicly, because it's not really appropriate. But the people involved also were like, hey, can we get some answers? Like, what did we do exactly so that we cannot recreate it? That is also...
Which is a good attitude to have.
Correct.
Right.
But there's also the other side of things, which I always like to have as much information as possible. And that's why some people are like, well, you don't really commit to some things. It's like, well, until I have all the information, I don't want to commit to something and then not have the right information, like, because then I just look like an idiot. I'd rather reserve judgment, at least until I know more. In this situation, the other side of the fence, which I was not necessarily saying was the case, some people... that I am aware exist because I've interacted with them, they will feign that they do not know the reason that they were banned in order to collect more information on how they were caught so that they can in the future bypass it better.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Yes.
Or to also delay the whole
or
thing.
delay the yes.
Just make the whole thing more annoying and just troll the whole
correct
thing.
So
make it worse. Yeah.
There are reasons for not giving more information. However, in the greater interest of player communication, I'm like, that's a risk that needs to be mitigated. I'm sorry. Like, if somebody really wants to know an answer to something, you got that's their account. They've spent money on this. This is a thing. You got to kind of at least tell them privately. You don't need to make it a public thing, whatever. But, like, they should have the right to know why they received some type of disciplinary action. Well, they weren't really getting any information, it seemed like. And their bans were removed after 72 hours, which is good. But their gold was removed as well because apparently it was found to be duplicated or whatever. So they lost millions of gold in this scenario. And as a major trader, if you get gutted of your funds, that's going to put you in a bad way trading going forward. And this really started to get kind of like, what's hearsay? What's real? Weird conspiracy theory crap was coming up because, again, it was taken down from the forums, and I get that. That does happen because that's not really... But then the post was taken down from Reddit, which is like, okay, well, that's not the forums, but then it was back up on Reddit, but you couldn't comment on it. So like there was just weird stuff happening, and I'm like, what is going on? Like something about this strikes me as very, very strange. Reader's Digest, it continues to get strange, and nobody's getting answers for a while. However, shout out, because again, it seems like this has been resolved. As of last I've heard, seems like things have been fixed, quote unquote, when on the forums, the ESO forums, Gina Bruno herself actually went on the forums and posted this thing. And rather than me paraphrase anything, I actually want to just read this because from a company standpoint, this is kind of what we were referring to earlier. This is not a thing you see from companies very frequently, what I'm about to read. And I'm glad that since this was apparently the case, that they were willing to say this. Would it have been better if it didn't happen originally? Yes, but can they learn from it? Yes. Is there compensation for them? It seems so. Because it turns out that they actually really didn't do what they said they did, or said they didn't do. Like, it turns out that was correct. They really didn't duplicate. So this is from the forum post that was posted earlier from Gina Bruno herself. Hi, everybody. We don't normally publicly discuss actions taken against player accounts, but there was a recent situation that would like to give you some clarity on. You probably saw some reports that a few players who participated in regular guild trading were temporarily suspended and suspected of gold duplication, and all gold removed from their accounts. Again, that's millions of gold. That's me adding that bit, by the way. Yeah. We've spent a lot of time reviewing this matter over the past week, and subsequent investigations have indicated that a potentially defective add-on was at fault. It erroneously triggered our anti-cheat detection systems. In short, the behavior on the affected accounts represented normal gameplay, meaning we actioned these accounts and removed the gold from them in error. This was very much a mistake on our part. We'd like to own up to our mistake and apologize for the inconvenience caused to the affected players, in addition to causing any distrust within the trading community. We're beginning to refund all seized funds from any players that were affected by this action, along with an additional item for their trouble. I hope it's like a mount or something cool that they get, because this was a huge mess. We're also updating our process regarding the add-ons and logs associated with add-ons to try to prevent this from occurring in the future. We apologize for the confusion and inconvenience that this action has caused, and we acknowledge that we need to update our internal processes to catch these kinds of events before it impacts community members who are playing legitimately. You don't usually hear companies just be like, yo, we fucked up.
No, it sounds like they totally understand what they did was like, they misunderstood what was happening.
Yes.
When they read the flag, they thought their information was legit. They thought they were getting, just flack back from whoever these people were. And then they thought about it some more and probably investigated it a little bit deeper and realized, oh no, this is a false this flag. Could be the information, the response we're getting, if put in the correct light, could just be no, really, we don't understand what we did wrong. Correct. Can you please help us out? And so let's investigate this a little bit more. And then they did the right thing.
Yes,
which is good in the long term. It's good that it all worked out.
Right. And the big thing, which I think that was a very mature, for lack of a better word, of responding to that. I hope whatever they give them is actually pretty cool, because that was a mess and probably a huge headache for a lot of people, especially if you're running a trade guild. That's basically a part-time job. That's a mess to probably handle. So good on them for doing that and acknowledging, like, hey, yeah, we screwed this up. This is not good.
Absolutely.
And the big thing was, which is what I hope that they learn going forward, and it's something that I've, maybe had the luxury of, but I've heard it from a lot of people in the community as well. So it's not just me, like I get some weird special treatment in this specific situation, but they are usually pretty open with communications. for whatever reason, I mean, customer service, that's not them. They're automated. A lot of this stuff is automated that gets flagged. You know what I mean? Like, they can't deal with 19 million individual people on like, oh, this person had a bug report. Let me type up a response to them. Nothing would ever get done. So, like, a lot of it is automated, but kind of the cold shoulder these people did receive along the way, hopefully for something serious like this, they'll realize, like, well, yes, okay, odds may be in favor of the fact that if groups get banned, there might be a reason, but the communication is very important with stuff like this, and I'm glad that in the end, that's exactly what they did to clear this up, and it seems like things will go back to normal, so kudos for them on fixing that screw up, and hopefully it seems like no long-term damage done to anybody involved, so hopefully it stays like that, and it's as positive as it seems to be. So
it's a tough situation all the way around, you know. And
absolutely. And what company wants to be like, yo, we totally just botched this? Like, that's not a selling point. Absolutely. That is not a selling point.
It was such a big, and we don't get any, knowledge of this stream team at all. But it's, there must be so many things of if there's either, bans or problems or something like that, like you were talking about, that they hear from people that are legitimate, either timeouts or bans or whatever. And stuff that people, go out there and say, "Oh no, it wasn't," and everything. So it's, there's a lot of filtering through, and so I think you guys kind of nailed it. They probably took a deeper dive into it and say, "Wait a second,
there's more here."
There's more here.
That's just it. It's like I'm used to. The majority of the ESO fam, as it's always said, is a great place. And if you're, using that hashtag or associating with that group, you tend to be part of the... All communities still have scum that you got to scrape off the bottom.
Yeah, people are people.
Yeah, people are gonna people. So nothing is perfect, and it's like I've known people who have just straight up been like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm totally cheating," and I just like if they ban me, I'll just say I didn't do it, and I'm just like, that what? It's like, I mean, I try to always come up with the most creative way of doing something, but it's like, if I were ever to be hit, I mean, I guess I've never been banned for anything, so I guess maybe how would I react if I actually had it done? But like if I do something super cheesy and they're like, yeah, you're getting a 24-hour, that is horse shit, and that's horse shit, I'm not going to be like, oh, come on, I didn't do it. It's just like, dude, you have logs that just showed I did it. It's like, okay, that's not cool. I guess I'll be back when my punishment's over. Like, that's if you're going to do something like that, be willing to deal with the consequences is really all it is. So, I'm glad that whole situation worked out, because for a while it was kind of not looking so great. So I was pleased that I got to add the bit where it's like, hey, things aren't so crap for these people anymore. So I'm glad to hear that, and that they actually were as on the up and up as they claim to be. So awesome work,
Yeah.
But I guess at that point we're basically at 2.5 hours. Why don't
typical Tales episode?
Yeah, it's pretty standard. Why don't we cover where everybody can find you guys? Maddie, you're the newest of the new. Where can everybody find you, Maddie?
Well, it's It's twitch.tv/Matygon, Matygon. Streaming there like 5 days a week. And doing all the ESO things there. And I do have a YouTube. I don't know what.
Sure do.
But if you go to my Twitch, you'll find the YouTube link on there, because I'm not big enough that I've got a thing.
I'm sure you'll get a thing soon. Go follow Maddie. A follow is free.
A follow is free over there. And some over there is free for the YouTube.
Yes,
so.
Exactly. And then also robots. I feel like there's something that we do that's sort of related. do you do something else besides just occasionally come on this show too that I should remember?
Maybe.
Other than having a great haircut, you know,
Right?
I mean, other than,
Yeah, we're joking. Like it's all kind of poking up in the front today. Pre-show talk.
no gel needed. That was good.
Yeah, no, it's like the late at night. It's been a long day, and then you just finally look in the mirror again. You're like, why is my hair doing that? That's weird. Yeah, yeah. Lotus and I host the Elder Scrolls Lorecast podcast live here on Twitch, but on my channel, twitch.tv/robotsradio. And it's part of the Robots Radio Network, which I created with the help of some other awesome podcasters. And you guys should come check it out. Come hang out with us on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. We just, every week we're talking about different topics having to do with Elder Scrolls lore. It's about an hour-long episode every week. You can get it on any of the podcatchers. It's also up on YouTube. We just recently moved over almost all of the episodes that are available from my YouTube channel to its own Elder Scrolls Lorecast YouTube channel. So if you'd rather watch our talking faces talk about the episodes, then you can go check that out there. But all of the episodes from episode 1, where I actually started the show all by myself, to when Lotus joined me, are available on different podcatchers, but the ones with me and Lotus are available on YouTube. So go check that stuff out. And if you're into any other video game lore, then go to robotsradio.net. We've got a bunch of shows on the network. We've got my other shows, Fallout Lorecast, a bunch of other Lorecasts, and then we've got all the other shows on the network, including other shows about Elder Scrolls. So lots of awesome stuff there. So yeah, I stay a little busy with some other things.
A couple other things. Like, when do you sleep is really my question. And as for the show, you can follow. Well, you know what? We'll go into something that I just have for my final announcement before we go out. I'm Lotus of Doom. Everywhere that I have an account, if there's an account, it's probably me. Lotus of Doom on Twitch and Twitter. I'm on Discord too, but mainly if you need to get a hold of me, Twitter is like the way to go. I like to check that more than anything else. And I stream whenever I can. I have a crap schedule outside of like the 2 podcasts, so I can never really figure out when to go. And hopefully I'll be able to stream again soon, because I've got the Travels Elder Scrolls games all fired up on my computer and ready to stream through, which will be a mess. And then Daggerfall and Redguard are the other things that I need to tackle.
Boy.
Yeah, I've beaten Redguard once before. I
love it.
It's possible. I think it's the second worst game I've ever played in my life. Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero's Mythology is the worst game I've ever played. For anybody interested, check that out. It's a PlayStation and N64 game. Sorry, devs who made those games.
That's right. Shout out to the devs.
Yeah, I was going to say, sorry. I don't mean to rip on you, but what the fuck? But anyways, the other thing that I would like to mention as on my channel personally, I try to raise money, so anything from my Twitch channel that I make, I like to combine for when I get payouts and donate it to Extra Life, which is a cause that I really have tried to support. This will be my 8th year, I think, or maybe 9th. It's been a long time.
Nice.
Yeah, and for anybody who doesn't know Extra Life, it is a program that provides money to the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. This year, we happen to be doing the Boston Children's Hospital again. I try to mix up which hospitals I do, even though I'm from Boston. Boston is very popular with hospitals. It's a very big hospital. But because of COVID problems, beds are in a shortage this year, which is problematic for treatment of things on a regular basis, which kind of screwed up that kids already have this to deal with to begin with. Then not being able to be rushed in for treatment that they might need is really ultra sketchy. So I, more than normal years, really have been trying to help out wherever I can. And We have some of the details. I am terrible with artwork, but I'm trying to make a flyer, which I will be able to post this week to post up on social media. But what we are going to do this year for our marathon, which we will be raising money at, will be on October 23rd. We'll be starting at 7 a.m. Eastern. And I will be streaming Elder Scrolls Online and or possibly other Elder Scrolls in the series for 20 hours. I will be going until 3 a.m., at which point Arkaniir will be picking up the baton from me and playing a combo of ESO and New World for some set amount of time, at which point he will be handing the baton off to another person in our charity team, the Elder Heroes, Slickrick2345. So if you are on Twitch or Twitter, give him a follow, as he's part of the charity team that's going with this, where he will pick up the baton from Arkaniir. I believe he kicks off at like 7 or 8 a.m. his time. Time zones get weird, so this is to go nonstop. But he will be picking up and then streaming for another 20 hours. So we will be covering the entire weekend with this charity marathon between us. HyperPixie will also be on her channel simultaneous to us at some point. So to anybody who doesn't know HyperPixie Games, she'll be part of it as well. It's just kind of going to be a weekend of fun. We have giveaways. I've got physical giveaways to do. I think we have some digital codes and everything that we will be able to give away. We'll be getting the finals on that. And the other special thing that I was working on, speaking of the devs, Rich Lambert will actually be joining during the marathon. I think this is the first time I've technically announced this.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah. Rich is actually going to be joining and running dungeons with me on PC and or trials if we have enough people for it in ESO. So the devs even get involved with our charity efforts. So yeah, Rich will be joining along, so that'll be super fun. So if you can't donate, just share this around because it all goes to a great cause. And we've got milestones that we're working on for stuff raised, but the real thing that we like to make it accessible to everybody, because you being there with us during these things actually perpetuates more eyes being on us doing this, and more eyes being on us doing this has a potential to get more money raised for the charity. So even you just hanging out with us, leaving us a lurk, it all matters because it helps us reach our goal of, providing funds to kids who can't afford it for the treatment they need. So we're pretty hyped up. We're actually off to an incredibly good start, as I believe we're over $500 and we haven't started the marathon yet. So that's a little
nice.
Yeah, so that's good. Our $1,000 goal, which we set each year, which you have all helped us smash in previous years. We're currently working on our torture techniques because nobody likes to see us succeed at anything. Last year, I had Arkaniir has needed to basically just be all in Aldmeri Dominion. We got Pixie to denounce the Aldmeri Dominion, which was great. For a whole month, she couldn't say anything nice about the Dominion. And
that's right. I remember that.
Yeah,
that's right.
And the best part is, like, since it's all for a good cause, my favorite part was she was kind of just not saying anything. It was just like right before her month ended, she went all in. I wish I knew which episode off the top. She went all in on a 5-minute rant on why the Aldmeri Dominion is the fucking worst. And it was so great. And
wow.
she really played into it. And I was like, that is great.
That's great.
And whereas mine usually just relate to horrible things like doing vet dungeons while running a 5K on a treadmill, which did not do great for my knee as I jammed my knee several times while doing that. But on the flip side, we beat lots of vet dungeons somehow. Yeah, so we're working on all our fun incentives for this year. And like I said, giveaways galore. So appreciate all of the help anybody can give us, spreading the word, and we'll keep reminding of you what's coming as we finalize more. But yeah, here's your initial shout out to it, and really excited to get it started later this month. I guess in closing, we'll just go with the usual. You can find everything we do over at dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. There you can find links to all our social media, including Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Discord. Be sure to check out our Patreon program at patreon.com/dungeoncrawlernetwork if you want to help support the show. And consider leaving us a 5-star review, which I don't have the ability to see until Ark actually, I need to get that from him. I need to keep asking about that. I keep forgetting. On iTunes, so that people know that we are a real podcast, that we say real words, and sometimes they matter. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this live episode of Tales. And we will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, Lotus.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining me. It was super fun.
When Akatosh slew Lorcan, he ripped his heart right out. He hurled it across Tamriel, and the heart was heard to shout, red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. The laughing heart sprayed blood afar, a gout on Seer it fell, and like a dart shot to its mark down in an alien well. Magic effused the Lorcan blood to crystal red and strong. Then wild elves cut and polished it down to chimel at a ball. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. When elves lost Nirn to men, Akatosh gave the stone to Saint Alesh in token of her right to sit the throne. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. Red diamond, protect us till the end.